Waterloo, Wisconsin, as we are at Trek Bicycles World Headquarters on what is certainly going to be a day to remember. Our C1 coming up today for the elite women and the elite men. We've got the elite women rolling out of the start grid here at high noon in Waterloo, Wisconsin. This is the fourth edition of the Trek Cup. My name is Dave Toll, being joined by our man Tim V. Tim will be giving us some insight from out on course and his in-depth knowledge of both Trek bicycles, where Tim is working now, as well as what's going on out on the scene. So picking up right now what is our expo area. It is a beautiful day. To paint the picture for you, you can see the light breeze working through the trees. This is the compound that makes up Trek's facility here in Waterloo. And we'll talk with Tim about how this course has come to be over the years. It really is a great story about how cyclocross is growing here in the United States. As I mentioned, the women will be out on course first. Katie Compton, Ellen Van Looy, Caroline Mani and company, all here to try to dethrone Katie Antoneau, last year's winner, and obviously one of our home state favorites, as Katie comes from just down the road in Racine, Wisconsin. With the men, we'll start with Wout van Aert, the world champion, racing with the Tom Hewson of the Telnet Fadea team is here as well, along with our American champion, Jeremy Powers. We've got a lot to talk about, but Tim, I'll throw it to you very quickly out on course. You were just racing in one of our amateur categories, along with what I understand is over 60 employees who work here at Trek. How'd your day start out?
Oh, my day started out with a lot of heartbeats. I raced Cat 4 and 5 myself. It went well. It was rough, very rough actually, but it was a lot of fun. There's a lot of people out there. Everybody's cheering from the first to the last. So it was a lot of fun, Dave.
Well, I'm going to talk to you about exactly that, this course. The story, as I mentioned, is a fantastic one. There's a guy named Matt Shriver who really helped introduce cyclocross to the Trek family here. We say cyclocross fever caught hold about 6 years ago, and it hasn't gone away. It's actually getting worse. But worse is better when you talk about cyclocross. But originally, they kind of took some bikes out, some of the early models that Trek was making, and tested them out in the backyard. And then talk to me about how this course has progressed. It's a monster course that they're racing on. A lot of people say this is World Cup quality.
Yes, it's a very diverse course. I spoke with Sven Ney, so you're surely going to mention him later in the broadcast. And Sven said that it's a very double course in a way that the first part is pretty technical, has a lot of turns and drop-offs and little climbs, and then the second part is very much for the power guys, and it's more flat, it has longer stretches, so it has a little bit of both, and could make for some interesting racing. And as you said, it's a course that's grown. It's been growing much over and over. There's a lot of people that race cross here. Notably, Scott Daubert has designed this course more than anybody else, and even the CFO of the company is riding his cross bike every day. And as you said, it's really cross fever here at Trek.
Yeah, I love that we go from the CFO, John Burke, his family has been, what Trek is all about. His daughter was out racing earlier today, Courtney Burke, out on course, and that really has been the story of how inclusive cyclocross has been in America. I know, Tim, a lot of your countrymen back in Belgium are going to be tuning into this webcast, and I'd certainly like to welcome all of our cyclocross friends, whether you be in Belgium or Holland or the Czech Republic. Obviously, what you have done there has really caught the attention of a lot of American sports people. And you're looking at now, and Tim, I think this is fair to say, that with this month of racing, or well, really it's this week right now, but in talking with a lot of the guys like Sven, Niels Albert here as well. I mean, having Sven Ness and Niels Albert at this race is like having Muhammad Ali and George Frazier at a boxing match. I mean, these are two of the biggest names in the history of the sport, and they're participating in the globalization of cyclocross right now by being here, by bringing the Crelan team or Telnet Fidea to race with us. It really is an amazing time, and this race now folding in our defending champion of Cross Vegas and reigning world champion, Wout van Aert, is in our field here. He's going to be leaving to go race in Las Vegas at Cross Vegas and then back to Iowa. So they've got two World Cups to contest here. An advantage, Tim, for the riders coming from Belgium who made the trip a little bit earlier and are racing at the Trek Cup?
Well, most of them came a couple days early. The Telnet Fidea team arrived on Tuesday already. They've had plenty of time to see what the course is like. Although it has changed overnight. In the last 24 hours, it rained quite a bit in Waterloo, and which makes that the course doesn't look like it used to look 3 days ago. But I know that Scott Dobert, who works at the race shop in Trek, prepared a lot of wheel sets, road wheel sets for the guys, and all they wanted to do was ride the cross course. So they really love it, and even the other teams as well. Voskhod Service, they arrived on Wednesday. Wout van Aert arrived on Wednesday. So everybody's really excited about this, and they take it very seriously.
So as you get a good look at this course, now they've opened it up. You're going to have the men and the women doing their pre-ride time for our UCI categories. We talk about the course changing. It's already starting to wear in a bit here as well. It has softened up. There's a great video. I don't know if you had a chance to see it, Tim, that was the Global Cycling Network guys put up. It was a really good look at what one circuit here is like. And I think the brutality of this course, I mean, it really does beat you up out there. It looks softer than it is, I think it's fair to say, for those watching on the web right now.
Yeah, I've seen the video. It's a great video. It's the video of Sven Nys with a GoPro on, I believe, on his chest, riding a lap, isn't it, Dave?
Exactly. And it really is. I mean, to look at the course at speed, and Sven doesn't look like he's lost a step since he retired. Sven was the world champion going back 2 times in his career. But I think even more than the victories that he's had, Sven really represents a generation of cyclocross, Tim, to American riders. They talk about Svenness, and the impact that he has had has been absolutely huge. So having him here and working with his Telnet Fidea team rides on Trek bicycles. So that's nice to see that relationship continue. So we really are starting a historic run, and you can sense that there's been a shift in the mindset of a lot of the European riders. The young Belgians and Dutch riders that we've had a chance to catch up with, Tim, have seemed to really enjoy the experience over here. And I have a feeling that the new breed, and that's what we've got here when you look at Wout and the young riders with him, is the next generation of cyclocross stars. And they seem to be embracing American racing and looking at possibly, this becoming the norm to start the season in North America. And Trek is playing a huge role in that through this combined effort that's happening. And Tim, I know you're a part of that in helping underwrite the costs for the European teams that are coming over, using the resources that Trek has developed as one of the world's largest brands. And in the United States, you really can't turn a corner without seeing a Trek shop in this country. It's an extremely well-known brand here. And at this point, Trek is harnessing that power that they have to help grow the sport of cyclocross. Is that a good way to put it, Tim? Trek is working with teams that might not even ride Trek bikes, but to try to get the top riders over here and grow the sport?
Yes, I mean, we're very much committed to growing and developing cross in the States. And for now, it's all going really well. And yes, I can confirm that we helped some of the other teams as well with their logistics, because it's quite complicated to race in 3 different states in the course of a number of days, and they're only going to Vegas after this, and then there's a race in Iowa. And there's a couple of things, tips and tricks that we can help the teams with when it comes to racing in the U.S., and they appreciate it.
Tim, do you think your countrymen back in Belgium would understand the vastness of this country if you've never been here, as far as what traveling from Waterloo, Wisconsin to Las Vegas and back to Iowa would mean? I have a feeling with the travel and the mindset of travel is very different in Europe.
Yes, I can definitely confirm that. I'm very fortunate that I got married to an American girl last year, and then some of the Belgians came over, and I can confirm that most of them had no idea how big the United States is. They thought that if they came on Friday for the wedding, they could go in the afternoon to the Grand Canyon, and that is not possible.
That didn't quite work out, did it?
No.
But, and that's what we really love, and that's a big part of what we're doing with this webcast, is trying to help those in Europe understand what the American scene is about. We have a lot of American riders here, Katie Compton, who would be well known in Europe, but, other riders like Katie Antonow also have taken the trips over and done the hard work of racing on the World Cup level. But we obviously are looking to, send riders like Elle Anderson, who's an American who's going to be living over in Belgium for the second time in her career. So for the Americans, this is a huge opportunity. Talk to me. I heard you were out there with Ellen Van Looy a little bit earlier. Talk to me about her experiences, Ben, over here in the United States. It's got to be a big challenge, I would think, for her to go up against these American women.
Yeah, but Ellen is somebody that has tremendous experience when it comes to racing, and she has a great mentor in Sven Nys around her. So I think she's ready for the challenge, to be honest. She's going to be good.
That we're getting a good look at you right now, Tim. Looking good out there.
I'm sorry about that.
No, you're fine. So the temperature, we're saying for your people back home, maybe a little over 20 degrees out there right now, maybe even 23, 24 degrees in American, in Fahrenheit. I'd say getting close to 80 degrees, almost 80 degrees today. Looks very comfortable.
Yeah, it's pretty humid though. This could be something that the Belgians need to get used to. So you start sweating from first pedal stroke, I think. But it is something that they can deal with. I mean, they're used to racing in very, very diverse conditions, and I'm sure they'll be fine as well.
The French rider, Lucie Chainel, her husband Steve, is here racing as well, along with, I should mention, Caroline Mani, who was the vice champion, the silver medalist at the World Championships last year in Zolder. It really is, for the women and the men, a different level that we've got racing with us here at the Trek Cup. We're really in the United States. The only time we've seen this in the past would be at Cross Vegas with this many Europeans joining our field. But I think Caroline Mani is certainly a rider to watch. She lives almost full time in the United States now, Tim, and certainly, well, when your pedigree includes a silver medal at the most recent World Championships, you are always going to be a rider to watch in the next season. She rides with the Raleigh Clement team and is going to be our first rider called up into the grid. Katie Compton to follow. Tim, not many sports have an athlete that has won their national championship at the elite level 12 times in their career, let alone 12 times in a row. That's Katie Compton on a Trek bike.
Yes, and Katie is racing a special paint scheme today that actually recognizes that 12 out of 12 victories at the national championships, and so she'll be racing a blue bike, Miami Blue, and it's a really good looking bike. So you'll be excited to see it.
Well, thanks. That'll be something fun to watch for today. I mentioned Ellen Van Looy of the Telnet Fidea rider. She's the third rider into the grid. Tim, it's fair to say Sanne Cant and Ellen Van Looy are the class of Belgian cyclocross racing right now. Those two really are 1-2, I think, coming out of Belgium.
Yes, and actually I'm right here next to Ellen
let's
now.
Grab a
so
word.
I don't know if you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's grab a word with her. Ellen, how are you feeling right now?
Hot. No, I'm feeling good. Thank you.
We just mentioned the humidity here in Wisconsin. Is this something that you're used to, the humidity?
Yeah, in Belgium it's sometimes really high, but not always with the temperatures.
What could be your strategy today, Ellen?
Yeah, being as first over the finish. So no, I have most of the time I have a good start, and then I'll see. I'm not going to try to go too fast in the beginning because it's still a long way to go. So.
Now, is this a course that you like a lot? You've had the chance to see it the last couple of days. Although it's changed in the last 24 hours, it's gotten a lot more muddy. But is it what parts do you like about it?
I like definitely the fast parts. Normally, I'm better on the mud sections, but I like more fast turns and corners. So I like the course. It's become a little bit muddy in the descent and the off-camber sections, but yeah, that's cyclocross too, definitely, because otherwise it's like almost a road race, I think.
Which of your rivals are you going to be focusing on today?
Oh, I saw a lot of good girls. We are in the States, so I know last year in Vegas, all Americans finished in the top 15, I think. So I'm aware of Katie Compton, Antonot, Georgia Gold, I think I saw. So will be a bunch of girls to beat.
All right, well, good luck.
Well, thank you very much, Tim. And so getting a chance to talk with Ellen Van Looy, Telnet Fidea rider, and she did mention the rider who'll be called up right after her, that being Katie Antonow. Katie comes from Racine, Wisconsin, riding for the Cannondale team. Lives in Colorado now, but really in the next wave of riders after Katie Compton, Antonow is a potent talent, and riding for Cannondale Cyclocross World is obviously going to be a rider that we would be watching closely. She comes in as our defending champion on this course from a year ago. So, Tim, right after we bring up Katie Antonow, they're going to be having Amanda Miller come up. Amanda, a rider out of Iowa. She also now lives in Colorado for the Boulder Cycle Sport team. And she's another one of these very well-rounded Americans. Her teammate, Crystal Anthony, who won the C2 day here last year, now riding for the Maxxis Shimano team. So a new team for Crystal Anthony, and it's really nice to see that program out here. After that, we've got Ellen Noble. Ellen's our reigning U23 national champion, just 20 years old. And is part of this new class, this new breed of cross racers. Aspire Racing is the team that Jeremy Powers has put together. And Tim, I had a chance to talk with Jeremy before the race about specifically Ellen and how they really are this season trying to keep the pressure off this young 20-year-old. I mean, if she's going to be on the front row at a C1 race, looking at riders like Compton and Van Looy next to her, it's got to be tricky for her just to keep her cool out there. But it's going to be fun to watch how Ellen Noble does on a day like today. So that's our front row that they'll be calling up. We have just heard that the start has been pushed back now to 12:05. So 12:05 start as we get a look at the Creed family now. There's another great group of cross-crazy people out there. So, Tim, Ellen Van Looy, looking pretty comfortable, pretty happy and upbeat. One thing I was noting here, you can obviously see we're surrounded by farm country. It's not all that different than Belgium in some ways. Some of the same smells, the pleasurable smells that one gets from a farm out there.
Yes, again, I can confirm that. There's a lot of similarities between Wisconsin and Belgium. It's not only the weather, at least in summer, it gets a little more cold here than it gets in Belgium, but it's a love of beer, a love of cheese, a love of cycling. So there's a lot of parallels, and I would assume that's going to make them go faster, right? They're going to feel at home.
Well, I would agree. Certainly for Ellen Van Looy. That would be the case. So getting a look at the famous flyover. How did it go for you out there? That is not for the weak of heart, Tim.
The flyover is, you would expect the flyover like the most spectacular part of the course. It is not. I mean, it's a lot of fun, but I would say that if you take a little bit of speed ahead of it, you make it over, and then you can actually recover on the downhill section. There's a couple of more trickier spots on the course than the flyover, to be honest.
And I think that one of the critical parts of the course that you're talking about is the run-up. I heard you fell over backwards.
You need to check your sources, Dave.
But it is about as steep as they get that you see on the World Cup level. Is that fair?
Yes, and 2 days ago it wasn't as muddy, and you could actually ride up if you're strong. Today I don't think anybody's been able to ride up, but maybe the pros can do it.
Well, it's great. I just saw on Twitter, we'll be looking at that throughout the day as well. Tim Johnson, thanks for your nice words, Tim, and certainly a guy that we would have loved to have had here. I think he's been the most commonly asked for American from his Belgian and Dutch friends. Where's Tim Johnson? We need to get him here next year. So taking a look now at the flyover we were just talking about, as some of the spectators are...
Dave, I have Katie.
Oh, great. You know what? Let me throw it to you then with Katie Compton, 12-time champion. This is Tim V. out there right now. As I mentioned, Tim, jump in when you have Katie there. We're 15 minutes away from start. So
yes, I do have Katie. Katie, you know the start has been pushed by 5 minutes, right? She knows. Dave, she knows. Katie, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. But, it's the first race of the year for me, so I don't know. I'm sure there's going to be some mistakes made, a little bit of cobwebs in the legs. But, I'm feeling good. I'm riding well, so I'm just going to keep it smooth and have a good day.
How has your summer been?
Summer's been good. I've been home training. That's pretty much it. Did a little mountain biking, a little road racing. But, just trying to train and prepare for the season. Yeah.
So what are the little indications that your shape is good? You haven't raced, so you've been through the summer. You have your SRM, you have your feelings. Or sensations, is it a debate? How do you feel about numbers versus sensations? How do you know you're actually fit going into your first race? How do you confirm that?
It's a little bit of both. Like, obviously, it's good to feel good in the legs and feel strong, but also power numbers are always a good indicator. And usually, even if if you're not feeling well, but the power numbers are good, that's usually a good sign too. So, I also have some group riding and some road racing I've been doing. So, I feel good and I'm riding well comparatively to some of the riders who I can train with. So, we'll see. I don't know. A lot of the women are riding strong this year, and hopefully I'll be competitive and at the front again.
What are your thoughts on the course? Do you like it?
Yeah, I think the course is great. Really good changes from last year. It's more Euro style for sure. We use a lot of up and down, and it's a little bit more technical, and it's really fun. So it'll be a good day.
Yeah. Sven Nys told me that the first part is pretty technical. Second part is about endurance. Do you agree with him?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think he put a lot of input into this course, and he did a really good job. It kind of reminds me of some of the Euro courses where you have kind of the fast, little bit muddy drops and sprint uphills. So yeah, it's all going to be good. I'm excited to race it.
What do you think of the drop off close to the factory building over there? Are you going to ride up? You think it's possible?
I rode it in training, but it's different when there's people with you, and then it's maybe quicker to run it because you have to ride on the green parts, and it's pretty slippery in the center. So I don't know. I can ride it, but whether that's quick in the race, I'm going to wait and see how it kind of unfolds.
All right, I'll let you focus on your race. Thank you very much, Katie. Good luck.
All right, thank you, Tim. I'm going to take a look at our second row now as we had stopped with Ellen Noble, the Aspire Racing, the final rider that'll be in that first group of 8. Nice to see Elle Anderson back. I mentioned Elle earlier, Tim, as an American with so much talent and potential and just getting the right support and the right situation for her. And she has the courage to be heading back to Belgium, really following in the footsteps of a great American, Amy D. So that's going to be Elle Anderson. It sounds like you might have Katie Antoneau down there as I was talk about Elle Anderson and Courtney McFadden, the Canadian Magali Rochette with the Luna Pro team. I see that Courtney McFadden is coming out of Bellingham, Washington with American Classic, and she's another one of those Americans who's been knocking on that door and is consistently in the top 10, sometimes in the top 5, and on a good day, she can find the podium. So, Tim, if you do have Katie Antoneau, I'll throw it to you down there.
We do.
Great.
Katie's right here next to me.
La Petite Blaireau, the little badger.
The little badger, indeed. Yeah. Katie, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. I'm excited to be back in Wisconsin. This course is way better than last year, and last year I thought it was awesome, so I'm super excited to race today.
How does it compare to the course of last year? What do you like more about it?
They just added a lot of cool features that we do for the UCI races, and I'm excited to get out there and go for it.
Are you going to take a fast start, or are you going to more pace it a little more?
Well, today's the C2, and so tomorrow's a big day with the C1, but I always go out there to race, so we'll just see Katie's here, and then Ellen Van Looy, and a few other European riders, so I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Well, good luck.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Tim. As Katie Antoneau notes, and our defending champion there, Antoneau, today's C2 race is it really makes up a huge weekend leading up into the 2 World Cups that we have here. So I'm going to work a little deeper. I mentioned Magali Rochette, the Quebecoise rider, the Canadian on Luna Pro team. She's coming off of a tough, and a few riders in our field had a tough day of racing in Rochester. Rochester starts out the season here. And we're using hashtag ProCX when we talk about what's going on in America on Twitter. And a few riders suffering from the heat stroke going on. So, you know what? Let's talk with one of the most exciting young Americans right now, the U23 champion for Aspire Racing. Tim, I'll throw it to you and Ellen Noble.
Yeah, I'm here next to her, right next to her. How are you feeling, Ellen?
I'm feeling pretty good. Yeah, I think this course is going to be super fun with all the handmade features and the additions from last year. I think it's going to be really, really fun and a really solid group of women racing today. So it's always good when you get to ride a fun course with really fast women.
Which part of this? I did it myself this morning. Which part of this course you think is the most fun?
I really like the new elite only downhill off camber sections. I think that's going to be super fun. But the descent into that that switchback run up is actually rideable now, so I'm super excited about that because I think that can be an advantage for some people. So I think that's gonna be pretty enjoyable in a painful way.
Do you have a strategy in mind for today? You're gonna watch the other people, or are you gonna make your own race?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I need to start racing a little more intelligently, so I'm gonna try to sit back and observe for a little while and then see what I can do, but just really take it easy for a bit from the beginning.
All right, good luck.
All right. Thank you very much, Tim, and good luck to Ellen Noble today. We're going to take a short break as the ladies are just about to be called into the grid here in Waterloo. Thanks for joining us for the Trek Cup.
For the ultimate in speed and efficiency, hardtails are great. They're lightweight and efficient. However, there's a downside. They can beat you up. Hardtails transfer harsh trail input straight to your body. On a rugged trail, you'll fatigue quicker and be slower over the course of the race. What if there was a better hardtail? A hardtail that delivered efficiency but spared the rider from harsh trail input. Even better, what if it was a proven technology? IsoSpeed is the answer. Trek's IsoSpeed is a decoupler that allows the seat tube to provide vertical compliance without robbing any lateral stiffness. It's proved itself on the Trek Domani at Cobble-Laden Classics and Boone on cyclocross courses. So how does IsoSpeed work? The IsoSpeed decoupler allows the seat tube to flex to smooth out harsh trail input without affecting lateral stiffness or pedaling efficiency. In short, you get more comfort and control without sacrificing anything. So what does that look like while riding? Trek compared the ProCaliber SL with IsoSpeed to Trek's existing Superfly SL, which was the previous best in compliance and stiffness. Then, we also looked at a standard carbon hardtail. Watching from afar may not look like a lot is happening. That's why we did a full analysis to help show what's really happening underneath the rider. During a controlled test section, you can see the saddle constantly deflecting. When the average of all three bikes are overlaid, ProCaliber's IsoSpeed delivered 30% more compliance than the previous best-in-class Superfly SL. Compared to the standard carbon hardtail, ProCaliber delivered 71% more compliance without any sacrifice in lateral stiffness. That is a revolutionary change in hardtails. All the efficiency of a hardtail without the punishing, speed-stealing harshness, so you can ride harder through rugged terrain and still finish strong. It truly is a revolution in hardtails.
Welcome back to Waterloo, Wisconsin. We're sitting about 35 miles outside of downtown Madison, the capital of this great state. Really the heartland of the United States. For those joining us from Europe, or around the world, I should say. I know we have great numbers coming in from Japan as well. But joining us from around the world, this really is, I said, the heartland. The agriculture industry here is very strong, very well known for the dairy products. Tim, as I'm sure you've noticed, they love their cheese here. So as we take a look now, once again, light breeze, temperature right in that mid-70s, actually, as we get a great overhead shot from our drone pilot. So that's a look at the start grid. It looks like they're already starting to fill things in now for the women. So let's really quickly run through that front row for you once again. World silver medalist, well-known here in the United States, Caroline Mani, the French champion, has been racing in the United States for the better part of the last 5 years. That's going to be right in the middle of your screen there in the red, white, and blue. Katie Compton. Compton, who is obviously a legend status here in the United States, riding for her new Panache team. Panache, a fantastic clothing supplier out of, located in Colorado. So riders here in just 3 minutes to start. So we'll keep working down. Ellen Van Looy, a big name to be adding to our start list here in the United States on our C2 day here. The Telnet Fidea rider out of Belgium. Tim had a nice chance to talk to Katie Anthony, the Cannondale Cyclocross World rider. Right next to her, or maybe not right next to her, but on that front row is Amanda Miller, her former teammate and certainly class act, Crystal Anthony out of Massachusetts, the Maxxis Shimano rider, looking for a big season here. And Ella Noble, who we also talked to there, the 20-year-old rider. And as you look, the number 2 ranked, number 6 ranked, number 7 ranked, and number 10 ranked riders in the world, all making up that group on the front row. That's Ellen Van Looy that we'll be watching for 4 on her arm, as Van Looy is going to be a big part of the conversation. So as they're inside 2 minutes to start now, I want to work through that second row a little more as well. I talked about Courtney McFadden and Rochette. Sonny Gilbert racing, Sonny out of the Naut Van Dessel team coming out of St. Louis. And then another one of the international stars with us, Lucy Chanel, cross-teamed by G4, her squad. And it's nice to see Megan Coral up on the second row there, Team Handmade, her squad. Nice story. Caitlin Vestal, also on the second row, Feedback Sports Racing. They really support cycling across the board. So nice to see that they've got a strong rider like the up-and-coming Caitlin Vestal. And Maria Larkin, it will round out that second row for the Chicago cutting crew, which Chicago, not all that far away from where we are right now in that CCC team, Chicago cutting crew, always well represented at events like the Trek Cup. So that's a good look at the first two rows there. I see young Hannah Finchamp in our field. That might have been the Luna Pro rider that Ellen Van Looy saw rolling around earlier. They actually, from a distance, look somewhat similar. So I don't believe that we do have two Luna Pro riders here, Magali Rochelle, the Canadian, but I don't think we've got Georgia Gould here. Rebecca Gross in our field, working down that list. Another rider with local roots, Nicole Mertz. But there we go. We are now locked and loaded. This is it. Big-time bike racing is back here in the United States. A historic run of racing starts here today with our C2 into tomorrow's C1. Everyone's going to jump on a plane and head to Vegas and then back to Iowa. But that's it. The first pedal stroke taken in Angers. We send out the women, and who's going to get the whole shot out here? Boy, you can see that's going to be Amanda Miller for the Boulder Cyclosport team. Boy, I'm sure back at home in Boulder, there's a lot of stoked-up cyclocross racers. I know a lot of you are out at Valmont Park on a day like today, but there's your own Amanda Miller attacking and taking the whole shot. Tim, I'll throw it down to you. Sounds like a nice roar from the crowd.
Oh yeah. And you could see that most of the women were nervous a little bit at the start. There was a lot of uncertainties. I saw women with a double chainring at the front, some with a onesie. Tire pressure apparently is a big debate because there's muddy sections, there's fast sections. So we'll see what turns out to be the decision maker here. But in any case, very fast start, and it's looking good.
Coming from the second row, Courtney McFadden. She's a fast starter there. You can see her in the light blue jersey in third now. So that is Amanda Miller up on the front. Ellen Van Looy, second wheel. A lot of eyeballs going to be on Ellen Van Looy, the Belgian here. Amanda Miller twisting the throttle right now, also known as a very good starter. So on your screen right now, it's the two Americans with the Belgian in the middle, but a challenge coming right now from Ellen here. She's going to be hard to hold back. Katie Compton moving up now right onto the wheel of Ellen Noble. So Noble, our U23 national champion with the elite champion right behind her. So, Tim, they're already sorting this one out. Obviously, a course like today, you just raced on it. You know how hard it is out there for the athletes who want to make a difference in the first 40 minutes. I have a feeling they're going to make a mark already.
Yes, this section where they're actually now, it's a little. You can see people are taking different lines. Most of them taking the inside line, I can see, which makes it a little rougher once you're over the crest. But it's an interesting choice to see. I can see that most of the women in the back are taking the longer line. But yeah, it looks like the inside line for now is the faster one.
I love Ellen Noble's enthusiasm. We talked to her about before the race about racing smart, and you can see her right now getting around Courtney McFadden, and she's done that. So successfully moving up into third position now, and now you see the change on the front here as well as Ellen Van Looy taking over, the Belgian rider, going to do damage on this first lap. Amanda Miller behind her, Courtney McFadden fighting back now. That's a real battle going on there with Compton right behind Ellen Noble. As we look a little bit deeper, that's going to be Antonio. You also talked to her, one motivated rider coming off a big win in Rochester. So we know she's got good form coming into the season here. Boy, all right, Tim, I love having you out there on course. You certainly have got one of the best seats in the house where you can see on video as well. This is a nice look at your new place of employment.
It is. Thank you very much. Yes, it's new for me as well, but so far it's been really good.
Well, I can already hear how many American friends you've made, and certainly welcome to the United States. We love having you here, and we certainly appreciate. You can see right now Ellen Van Looy's coach there. What do you think he would be talking to her about? She's gone out hard. Do you think he's telling her that maybe back off a little bit?
That is possible. I can go ask him actually.
Well,
but,
good.
It is. I'll go ask him. I'll go find him.
This is one of the very technical off-camber sectors that we're looking at out on course. So Antonio making that front group. That's a big ride for Crystal Anthony trying to join up into what is turning into our front group. Now some riders having trouble. That is a technical sector, one of the most technical out on course. So it's great having Tim V with us. And Tim, I'll throw it to you.
Yeah, I have Sven Nys here next to me. He's playing mechanic today. Sven, how's that feel?
That's the first time for me, so I hope she can win. So that could be a really nice day for me. It's the first time. I'm a little bit nervous. I hope I do everything well, but I'm motivated, and Ellen is in good shape, so we'll see.
What was Ellen's strategy going into this first lap?
Well, I think in the first 2 or 3 laps she needs to see how the the other riders are, feel how she is in the warm temperatures. And then on a certain moment, she needs to try to attack and try to win this race, because that's what it's all about.
Okay. Well, good luck. We'll watch you do it.
Well, it is such an honor having Sven Nys with us here in the United States, and we'll be talking with him a lot more throughout this first day of racing here in Wisconsin. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. The women out on lap number 1. My name is Dave Toll, being joined by Tim V. He's out on course right now, so you can see Katie Compton had moved up there. There's a couple national champions, as we've mentioned, in our field, but the easiest to identify is the 12-time running national champion Compton. She's got Ellen Noble, big ride for Noble, and Courtney McFadden right now. As things starting to come together, maybe settling down a little bit, as Amanda Miller has really taken out that sledgehammer here on this first lap. As we watch now Miller come through Van Looy, Compton, followed by, it's going to be Antonow moving up ahead of Noble. And then you've got that's Courtney McFadden, followed by the Maxxis Shimano rider, that being Crystal Anthony, that we're looking at now. Real selection coming together, and no surprises here, Tim, when you look at the women up in this front group. But where is Caroline Mani? I don't know if you have any insight that we don't, but Mani's starting on the front row. Surprised that she isn't in this group?
No.
And
no, she's not. Right now it's 4 riders with a little gap and then 2 more. But, yeah, number 2 is not there, I see.
I see the Canadian, Magali Rochette, doing a very good job. You're going to see her joining this group in the Luna Chick kit. That is her with the blonde ponytail. So what a recovery there on lap number 1. Very good job by Rochette to get up into what we would call the Miller and Van Looy, Compton, and Noble on your screen right now. So the big surprises are Caroline Mani, maybe a mechanical, off at the line. We've got Tim out there working hard to find out what's going on with that. It's nice to see some of the riders coming off of the second row making this group. That is obviously going to be the rider out of Bellingham, Washington. Let's look for her. There she is, the light blue jersey. If you're looking for a number on her, we'll have that for you in just a moment. It is number 10 on her shoulder, coming in ranked in the top 40 in the world. When you talk about McFadden there, she's got to be happy about the way things are playing out earlier. So this is going to be, I think we see Mani possibly making her way back up, or the other rider, it may be Chanel that we're looking at here as well, Tim. But it's starting to unravel up in this front group as Van Looy has gone to the well again here. So Van Looy is the rider who's moved to the front for the Telnet Fidea team. We've talked about what an honor it is to have the Belgian rider joining us. This is Rochette just dangling off the back of this group with Crystal Anthony right now. They're certainly trying to close the back door, Tim.
Yes, it looks like it's all tied together, but Ellen is controlling it. And I just spoke with her coach, Sven Nys, about tire pressure. And he told me that the Telnet Fidea women are racing with 1.8 bar, which translates to 26 psi, which is a good compromise between good for muddy sections and good for fast sections, I would say. But it's looking like Ellen is really has a lock on the race.
Good information. Thank you, Tim. Let's take a look at this group. The woman Tim's talking about, Ellen Van Looy, the tall rider in black, coming up and coming up and sitting on her wheel a moment ago was Katie Antonow. This is going to be Amanda Miller, Bowler Cycle Sport rider once again. So Miller taking back over. It goes back and forth out there with Van Looy, then Compton, Antonow, and Noble. Great ride from Ellen Noble. The 20-year-old has to be very encouraged. This is the loading dock that they talk about. Another tricky sector out there, Tim. How do you do in the loading dock?
Well, the first lap, we didn't have to do it, luckily. Otherwise, it would have been quite the mayhem, I believe. But in the second lap, it was rideable to go down. But in my category, everybody was running up. And it was very muddy. I slipped out at some point and had to put my knee down. But other than that, I mean, it's just high intensity. And there was a clinic 2 days ago that Sven Nys gave to all the Trek employees. And, it wasn't as muddy back then, but Sven was just riding up it and then bunny hopping the 2 barriers on top. So, he put us all on their own place.
Well, you can see someone else is putting them all in trouble is Amanda Miller right now. What a great shot. And a little bit of a trouble from Van Looy. You can see her shaking her head right now. This is going to be a big moment, Tim. As Van Looy goes to the back of the group, they're going to want to take advantage of this moment. If you can get rid of Ellen Van Looy, you do it, and you do it immediately. So going to the front, Amanda Miller. This is a big day for Amanda Miller. She's always had this potential. But certainly what she's doing out there now has got to be incredibly encouraging. And Katie Compton would feel the same way. Getting up onto that wheel and now trying to attack over the top of Amanda Miller. It is really hotting up on lap number 2. Antonow comfortably sitting in third wheel. She seems to be on the form that we expected her to have coming out of Rochester. Katie Compton, Amanda Miller making their way through what is really the expo area that we have out on course. But this has been the story of racing in America really for more than a decade, Tim. Katie Compton on lap 2 has absolutely dismantled 95% of the races that she's done in this country. We've seen this before. The technique is brutal. And right now, Katie Compton is attacking. Can they respond? I don't think they can. I think we're looking at vintage Katie Compton, Tim.
Yeah, Katie is really on it. She's hammering it right now. The others are kind of looking who's going to start chasing her, but looks like Ellen is moving up again now.
All right, well, so Ellen with that bobble just a little over a minute ago, Compton taking advantage of that. Clearly, it was Amanda Miller who was dangling off of the front at that point, but this looks like the Katie Compton that we really have gotten to know. It's Ellen Noble leading up the chase, the 20-year-old out of Maine on Aspire Racing right now. This is a great look at the venue and the gap that Compton is opening up. It's only a few seconds, a handful of seconds now, but let's see if she's going to start compounding with interest out there on this. It looks like 4 riders, and one of them is Ellen Lloyd that's come back up into what we would call Chase 1. But Tim, Compton just not playing around with this field here today. It looked like in that front group between Ellen Van Looy and Amanda Miller, softening things up. Katie Antonow was very active up there, but when it was time to go, Compton has left. Now, it looks like Ellen Noble's going to take a big turn to bring this one back. That's Noble, followed by Miller, followed by Van Looy, and then that's going to be Courtney McFadden there in the light blue and pink. And actually, McFadden now looks over her shoulder and sees that Katie Antonow, the winner of this event last year, actually the winner of the C1 event. I apologize for that. So the C2
I have somebody
winner.
of Katie Compton's team here.
Yes, let's see what we've got. Ellen Van Looy on her way through. Tim, I'll throw it down to you.
I have somebody of Katie Compton's team here, Tom Price. She's looking like she's really good, and she's putting the hammer down right now. Did she feel it in the first lap, and then this is my time?
Well, I think she was. She said she was a little nervous at the beginning, first race of the year, first time riding and racing with all these girls. So I think that she's testing it out to see what her fitness is like, and she has a great summer, great fitness, and we'll just see, how it plays out here.
Is she trying to get a response from the others, you believe?
Probably so. See what everyone else is doing and how everyone else is feeling. It's a little warm out today, so we'll see.
Looking good.
All right. Yeah, she's looking great. We're happy.
All right. Thank you very much. Good luck.
All right, Tom Price, a former national champion that you're talking to there in the Masters racing, Tim. We got Katie Compton really turning the screws out there now, going full Black & Decker on them right now. As with Compton goes into the woods, I think this gap has grown over 5 seconds right now. There's not going to be many women standing. So Antonow is going to come good here. I think that Antonow may be going through a little bit of a bad patch there. Van Looy, we saw her have that bobble earlier. It was a minor, as small of a bobble as you could have, but ultimately it took her out of the group, put some pressure on her. Looking at the great American champion. For those of us joining from around the world, you're looking at the pride and joy. I haven't had anyone, Tim, argue this one with me. When you talk about the greatest American cross racer of all time, you're looking at her on the screen right now. It's man or woman, as Compton is a 2-time World Cup overall winner. She stood on the podium at the World Championships in her career over 5 times now. It's quite a run that Katie Compton has had, especially when you look at the medical issues that she's had to fight through year after year. So going back now to the front of the bike race, as we're looking at what's the chase in the race now. Ellen Noble, exceptional ride from young Ellen Noble. Ellen is our reigning U23 champion. She was a junior champion as well. Ellen at one time rode for the Trek team, now moving to the Rafa Aspire team, which is run by Jeremy Powers and his cohorts. They do such a great
something.
job. So, Tim, I'll throw it to you. I know you're always going to be finding great people to talk to out there. Who's next?
Well, I was just going to give you my impressions of seeing the women go through the pits. Katie looked very, very confident. She didn't seem to be racing other people. She seemed to be racing herself, like focus right ahead of her. She didn't look back. Same for Ellen Noble, who's chasing behind Katie, not really looking back. And then there was Ellen Van Looy, and there's also Amanda Miller, who's trying to get back onto Ellen. But Katie's really out there, and she's very focused, and she didn't even look at her mechanics for a new bike or anything. So it looks like she's got this under control, and it looks like she's trying to bring it home.
Tim, when Katie is normal, she races against the field. When Katie is exceptional, she races against the course. And Katie is racing against the course today.
That's definitely what it looks like for now. I'm going to see if I can try find someone else to talk to.
All right, thank you, Tim. Tim down in the pits right now. As he mentioned, Katie not coming in after a hot first lap there. This is going to be Van Looy. Well, actually, you saw the rear wheel of Compton. Now you're going to see Van Looy closing this gap down. So looks like Ellen Van Looy is strong enough to reset this. Amanda Miller, the one rider for Boulder Cycle Sport that's going to be able to go with her. Got to feel good when you're Boulder Cycle Sport to be going toe-to-toe with the Telnet Fidea team out here today, as this is Van Looy and Miller. So, boy, those are the final two spots on our podium here. If things don't change pretty dramatically, they're out on lap number 2. So Van Looy, Tim, when I look at her, I don't know if you can see a screen right now, but Van Looy certainly looks to be... All right, well, so I'm just going to keep this here as we watch Van Looy, and this is going to be Amanda Miller on her wheel. So, all right, sorting things out pretty quickly on a day like today. They're both chasing Katie Compton. Tim, I don't know if you can see a screen or not right now, but Van Looy certainly isn't, as we say in America, throwing in the towel. It looks like she's finding her rhythm.
I don't have a screen right here in the pits, Dave, but I can definitely believe you. She's one tough lady, and she's not going to give up without a fight.
Okay, now correcting really quickly, Ellen Noble in second. This is the group of third and fourth. I'm sorry, Tim, we'll throw it back down to you.
I have somebody from Katie Antonov's team here right with me, Stu Thorne. Stu, how do you think Katie's looking right now?
Katie looks pretty good. She's comfortable. 5th place right now. I think today's just a little bit of an opener for tomorrow, so we'll just see how it goes.
How was her summer, and what do you think she can accomplish today?
Her summer was good. She's been training quite heavily, and then she had a great week last week in Rochester with a win there. And I think that today, just if she can just stay consistent and work out the legs and prepare for tomorrow, that would be the plan.
We've been talking about tire pressure early in this broadcast. There's a little bit of a debate because there's a muddy section, there's fast sections. What do you guys settle on?
She made a choice this morning of 18 in the front and rear, and she's running a Challenge Limas tire. So, maybe a little bit too aggressive for some of the sections that might be drying out right now, but a little more comfortable in some of the tight corners with some grip on the front wheel.
Thank you very much for that information. Good luck.
Thank you, Tim. You're talking to an absolute legend when you've got Stu Thorne with you. Both he and Jeff Proctor, I think, have done as much as any two Americans to grow the sport. Now, remembering, Katie Antonov is a very light rider as well when you talk about the pressure in her tires there. It's actually pretty interesting, and thanks for that, Tim, as we take a look now at Katie Compton here in the Stars and Stripes jersey riding for Panache and Trek. It's a bit of a new, it's some new, some old. When you talk about for Katie, she's been on Trek now for years. She helped design the bike that she's racing on right now, that Miami Blue Boon, that so beautiful underneath our race leader, Katie Compton there. So, boy, for American cyclocross fans, you've been waiting a little while to see this Katie Compton back coming in. You can sense that, there's not only the confidence, but it's also this respect that Katie has for cyclocross. And here she is hitting this flyover that was crafted by Trek employees. They spent a lot of time out on this course over the last 6 years. Matt Shriver, Scott Daubert, they really got a ball rolling here. And now, it really, for Tim, I think you're going to find in your first weeks working at Trek that you don't really get a gym membership or anything like that. What you get is a bike and a course like this to go ride on, and that's why I think so many of the Trek employees are so happy out here. So taking a look now, we're going to pick up the race. That's Amanda Miller holding on to the wheel of Ellen Van Looy, but it is still Ellen Noble who's holding them off here. So this is, once again, for 20-year-old Ellen Noble. And Jeremy Powers talked about this before the race, how with an athlete like this, you really want to keep the pressure off her, let her be the best she can be without putting her into the grind that can be expectations in pro cyclocross racing. And I must say, Jeremy has really cracked the code. Ellen was another one of the riders who had a tough weekend last weekend in Rochester. It was abnormally hot. The United States really did have a late summer heat wave, and race like Rochester, you really felt it there. So we're going to be going back and forth as we pick up once again. Katie Compton is our race leader as we come up on the midpoint. Ellen Noble holding on to second with a nice little gap back to Amanda Miller and Ellen Van Looy. Courtney McFadden, it just must be ecstatic right now. Holding on to a top 5 is going to be huge for the rider out of Washington State riding for American Classic. Katie Antonow now dropping back into 6th. That is not going to be where Katie wants to be at this point in the race, and let's see if she can rally herself. Anthony sitting in 7th. Hannah Finchamp having a fantastic ride. So Finchamp now has moved in for the Luna Pro team into 8th position, and then Elle Anderson. Good to see Elle's name showing up in our top 10. Elle riding for her own team this year as well. Heavily supported by SRAM. So as we take a look now, Compton going to be making her way across your screen. This is a nice little look, what it's like to be a spectator out on a day like today. So we mentioned 75 degrees, and certainly you get the feeling that you're right in harvest season here in Wisconsin. So you just had going one direction, Ellen Noble, and then the 2 riders who are slotting in for a battle for 3rd unless they can improve their position here, as that's going to be in the light blue jersey, the GE rider, Courtney McFadden. McFadden sitting in 5th. Now we get a look at what's happening behind her and what these gaps look like, as that's going to be Antonow behind Anthony. There's Hannah Finchamp, the young rider out of California. Hannah has been a collegiate cyclist in her time, a very established Xterra triathlete, a multidiscipline athlete as well, and also I would think right at the same age as Ellen Noble right now, maybe a 1 year older. I think Hannah possibly just turning 21, but right in that same group. And for her, at this level, C2 level, racing in the United States, this is her best ride in her career. So the riders that are punching above their weight on a day like today, certainly you'd have to talk about Hannah Finchamp and Courtney McFadden. McFadden has been here before. It's just nice for her to be back again at this level. Amanda Miller having a fantastic ride, but this is well within what was possible for Amanda. But this is certainly on the high end of expectations as we take a look at Van Looy trying to punch that ticket out there right now. And it looks like Miller might start settling in. Now, you have to remember there's the race ahead of you and there's the race behind you that you have to think about. And, well, Amanda Miller's thinking about the bike race ahead of her right now. Courtney McFadden is the rider that you see on that quick little run up there. That's where fast feet make a big difference. But I think we're going to find, Van Looy now really in a pitched battle here with Amanda Miller at this part in the race. So, Tim, it's really starting to settle out there as far as I don't think we've got a group anymore in the top 10. It's just single riders fighting for themselves.
Yes, that's absolutely true. I'm just watching here Sven Nys, who's encouraging or giving some advice to Ellen Van Looy. Sven just mentioned that in the section where they're at now, the wind could be a crucial factor. So let's see if Sven has a couple of minutes for us, or not even a couple of minutes. Sven, how's it looking for now?
She's riding for the podium, but the last section of the course is a lot of wind. And the lap before, she done a great effort, but that cost her a lot of energy. So she need to see how that works out during the next 2 laps. So for me, it's interesting that she can riding for the podium now. We are here since Tuesday, and she has a little bit of jet lag right now. And if she can ride now for the podium, that's good for tomorrow and Wednesday in Vegas.
Couple of words on Katie Compton. She was looking around a little bit in the first lap and then really put the hammer down in the second lap. Vintage Sven Nys, you could say, but it's also vintage Katie Compton, isn't it?
Yeah, she's really motivated and she's the strongest rider of the field. You see that when she's doing a climb, she stand up the pedals. There's a lot of power involved. So I think she's going to win really smooth, and she's the strongest of the peloton right now.
Thank you very much, Sven. Good luck.
Thank you again, Tim. As we pick up that chase, Amanda Miller fighting back up onto the wheel of Ellen Van Looy here, the Telnet Fidea rider. The Lions, I see, the Telnet Fidea team identifies with. I like that. Certainly in Belgian cycling lore, the Lion is very well represented, and Ellen Van Looy right now. As we look at Katie Compton here, as Sven noted, you can't be looking at this and not recognize it's a big step forward for Katie Compton at this point in her career. We could be looking at the strongest Katie Compton that we've ever seen at this point in the season. So, once again, for American cyclocross fans, this is good news. For someone like Sanne Kant watching back home in Belgium, I would think, it's good to have such a high level of racing, and I think we'll see Sanne making her way over to the United States to pick up that first World Cup. So obviously, though, Compton now looks like she's going to have a very good 16-17 season. You can't base everything, Tim, just off of one race, but this was a big one for Katie coming back to Waterloo.
Yes, Katie has been struggling with some injuries in the last 2 years. But she's a fighter, and it's really impressive to see her ride the way she's riding right now. She's dominant, and I'm watching her right now on the descent going into the next lap, basically, and it's impressive. The confidence that she has in the turns right now, it's just, here she comes. I don't know if you can see the same thing as I'm seeing, but she's in a tunnel. She's super focused, and she just took a little breath, and it's just like, it's impressive. Really, really sublime.
Good word. Very good word choice. Sublime effort today from Katie Compton. Ellen Noble, the same. Credit where credit is due. This 20-year-old having an outstanding performance, a command performance for the Aspire Racing rider today. Sitting in second wheel. Now, will Amanda Miller hold off Ellen Van Looy to keep it an all-American podium on a day like today? We still have a ways to go out here, and Miller just won't lie down. I have to think for Ellen Van Looy, she won't have raced with Amanda Miller all that many times. Now, Amanda has made trips over to Europe, but when she's done that, she's usually been starting back on the third or fourth row. Well, Van Looy always starting on the front row with her position in the UCI rankings. So they wouldn't really have done this before, and I certainly think Amanda Miller would have Ellen Van Looy very impressed at this point. So you're looking at third and fourth on course right now. Final podium spot being sorted out there. So, yeah, there's another significant moment in American cycling when you can bring over the top Belgian riders and have one of your Americans hanging in there just really battling right now. So that's a good look at the venue. The white roof that you see, that's where the Trek factory and all of the office is. As we mentioned, over 60 employees of Trek have been out racing with us today or will be this weekend, as there's a lot of amateur racing that goes on around the C2 and C1 day that we have. So let's take a look at our top 10 right now as it stands. Katie Compton on the front, Ellen Noble chasing alone in second. Together in third and fourth. You can see them there. That's Amanda Miller in the black. With the orange and the black with the yellow is Ellen Van Looy. Then you've got Courtney McFadden still hanging in there. So typically you see these kind of names together. Courtney McFadden and Crystal Anthony, 5th and 6th right now. Anthony with the Maxis Shimano team. You then have Katie Antonow sitting for Cannondale in 7th. Hannah Finchamp in 8th. And then there's Elle Anderson still holding on after 24 minutes of racing out there. And it's not going to be long. I would imagine, Tim, I don't know if you can answer this or not. Will it be 1 to go for the riders the next time through, or are they going to see 2 to go?
Dave, can you repeat the question? I didn't get the question.
Wondering how many laps they have on the lap counter down there. I'm not exactly sure. When you look at this, it's going to be very close. It's going to be hard to either go over or under without. You're not going to hit exactly 40 minutes today, it looks like.
I think I just heard the speaker here say 3 laps to go, but that could be he could be talking to somebody that was back in the pack. But I think 3 laps to go.
Good. I think you're right. I think what we'll see, and maybe our cameraman can get a look at it, that 2 to go is what I'm anticipating now for Katie Compton the next time she comes through. So that's Hannah Finchamp. We don't get to see her much because they really are focusing on this group as they should right now. And that's the battle for the podium that we're looking at. Amanda Miller, the rider out of Iowa, as she's got the Belgian Van Looy with her. That's going to be right now 3rd and 4th on course. The wind looks like it's picking up a little bit right now. Yesterday we saw a bit of a storm come through a little bit later in the day, but a bit of a microburst that hit this course, softening things up, Tim, as you had mentioned.
Yes, and we've positioned ourselves now right above the little barriers next to the buildings to see the faces of the women that come up here, and you can see that everybody's really in the hurt zone. And I'm looking forward to seeing Katie Compton fly by here and see if she's even suffering.
Well, and you know, one of the things about Compton is she's like a good poker player in Vegas that you'll see next week. She doesn't show you much on her face, whether she's good or bad. Katie Compton really is the consummate professional, and certainly not much of an actor. Compton is all business out there on a day like today. You get a look at Renee Calloway does such a great job putting together this event, and part of that is the materials that go around it. There's Compton, 3 on her back, but certainly number 1 on a day like today. So that's Compton in the red, white, and blue. Riders all over the course right now. Tim, beautiful day to be racing bikes here at Trek's grounds. That's for sure.
Yes, it's definitely a beautiful day. I'm here on the little hill, basically next to the flyover, and also up the ride-on. And the atmosphere is really good. I see people dressed up as what I think is a bee. And it's great. Everybody's enjoying themselves, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun here in Wisconsin.
That guy is definitely a bee, Tim. I don't know if you guys love bees as much in Belgium as we do in America, but they're a big part of obviously how you grow everything that we eat here. And that's right now, actually, I don't know if you've seen them. There's a lot of bees. If you're not in live attendance, there's a lot of bees on the venue today. I remember back, so there's been a lot of talk about EpiPens in the United States, and Katie Compton is one of the riders who has had a bee sting in her career and needed that EpiPen to not finish the race, to live. And Katie Compton is one rider that is not a fan of bees. I don't know if you've seen any out there, but they're definitely out there on a day like today. And I would think, to be honest with you, not only would her husband, Mark Legg Compton...
Have somebody with me?
Yeah, go ahead. You know what? I was talking about the bees out there, but I'll throw it to you, Tim.
Well, the bees. There's bees in Wisconsin. What I certainly know is that there's a lot of mosquitoes, Dave, and they like me a lot. So, but I have Sven van Toornoot here with me. Sven, what do you think so far of this race?
Well, Katie is very strong, so place 1 is already gone. I'm here for Ellen van Looy, and she's fighting now for place 3 and 4, so I hope the podium is possible for her.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you a personal question. You've recently retired, just like Sven Nys. How does it feel to come to a cross race as a spectator, or as a coach in your capacity right now, but not as a rider? I mean, how does that feel?
Yeah, it feels a little bit strange, but it's okay. We have a goal, and we have a goal with the team, so that's the important thing for the moment, and it keeps me away from thinking and to be here. So we have a goal with the team, and that feels good.
Thank you very much. And then Dave, I don't know if you saw it, but there was a bee circling around Sven's head while we were talking.
Well, hey, thanks a lot, Tim. And once again, I mean, we talked about having Sven Nys here and Niels Albert, and then there you go, Sven van Toornoot as well. Incredible who we have with us here today on Trek's grounds. If you're just joining us, thank you. This is Katie Compton. Once again, vintage Katie Compton, as we're watching her do it, what we've really come to know Katie to do so well. So 2 to go is what Katie Compton is hearing down there. So a lot of women, Tim, have been talking about the 60-minute movement. They want to race 60 minutes out here as well, and they're going to get a lot more than 40 on a day like today. So that's nice to see. Katie Compton's got 2 laps to go. There's a lot of our amateur racers who are going to be racing later today getting a chance. So this is not the norm in the United States, partly because of our European audience that we certainly wanted to show racing to that wasn't too late in the evening. But I think this is the way we should do it all of the time, is have racing for the women start at noon and the men right after that, and then have our amateur categories fall in around that. That's the way you get the biggest crowds out here. So Katie Compton giving these crowds quite a show today. And Tim, I think I heard both Sven say it. She's not coming back.
She's out there, and I just saw her run up the climb next to the building, and she's impressive. She grabs the bike, the handlebars at the bottom right as she comes up and starts charging again. It's monumental what she's doing here, and Ellen Noble is chasing hard behind, but it looks like Katie's really out there today, and she can actually control the race and pace it a little bit.
Yeah, she has time to stop for a cup of Segafredo. Actually, at this point, it's going to be close to 30 seconds soon here. I agree with you, Tim. This is, once again, Katie Compton that we're watching at in the middle of our screen. Katie just so powerful, so compact. Clearly, she's been doing her work in the off season. As you watch Katie's career progress here, like any great athlete, you're going to have years that really stand out in a positive way, and years that stand out in a negative way, and years that fall somewhere in between. And for Katie, there's a limited amount of time in her career where she can go get that rainbow jersey. And man, does it look to me like that's what she's thinking about already this season. You don't stop thinking about that rainbow jersey when you're someone like Katie Compton, Tim.
Dave, if I just go up and go up.
Well, part of what we enjoy with Tim is he's always out there moving, and I think he's probably making his way over to the run-up right now. We'll find out, but we'll reconnect with Tim V in just a moment. That's going to be Katie Compton over that flyover. The construction, if you ever have a chance to join us here in Waterloo and take a tour of the Trek factory, there's a really cool museum in there with the Fabian Cancellara just retiring. There's all kinds of cool stuff in the museum, and Trek does a really great job of, allowing the people who ride their bikes to stay connected. And one of the great ways to do that, if you're ever in Madison, is to make the trek out to Waterloo. As many people have spread out all over this, the Trek grounds would be a good way to put it. As time went on, Trek started acquiring more and more of the properties that became available around what was their original factory site. Actually, that's what you're looking at right now on the right-hand side of the screen. And as guys like Matt Shriver and Scott Daubert have had this passion for cyclocross, they've ended up building what is turning into now, or it's establishing now, is a World Cup quality venue that we're racing at. So this is Compton that we're looking at right now. Advantage continuing to grow out there is what we're hearing. It really reminds me of what we watched Katie doing 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. Things changed there for a few years as Katie was really fighting for a top 5 spot here back in 2015, and now she's just punishing this women's field, and it looks like Amanda Miller getting a bit of a gap right now. So it is right now on course an All-American podium. Ellen Van Looy is going to try to right that ship here as the Telnet Fidea rider has started this 2 to go in 4th. Amanda Miller in 3rd. Behind Ellen Noble, Katie Compton, our leader. There's Van Looy into 4th. Now we've got Courtney McFadden still in 5th, and she's holding on to a 16-second advantage over Crystal Anthony. Courtney McFadden must be ecstatic right now. I know that there's a very strong scene coming out of Washington and Oregon. Riders like Emily Kachorik, who would be from Sacramento, where they're racing on a day. I mean, they're racing cyclocross all over America on a day like today, but this is our premier event in the country. Amanda Miller knows the work that she's done is effective, and it looks like right now Ellen Van Looy really going to have to dig even deeper as she's in the box, no question. Amanda Miller cracking the code out there, and so Van Looy fighting for a spot on the podium in 3rd. She sits currently in 4th, very challenging off-camber sector. We've seen a few riders have to clip out. This is the back in the 4th and the flow of the course. Tim, you were out there racing on it. This is World Cup quality racing we're watching right now.
Dave, can you hear me?
We just can, Tim. How are you doing out there?
Oh,
where do we find you
wonderful.
on course now?
That's good. Well, it sounds like it looks like the battle for 3rd place is kind of been decided. Ellen seems to be giving in a little bit, so I guess the grimaces we saw earlier on the run-up kind of confirmed that she was in the hurt zone. It really looks like Amanda's out there and pushing it hard now. We'll see if Ellen can punch back a little bit more, but this race is coming to an end soon, and Katie Compton is impressive again, so we'll keep you updated.
Well, Amanda Miller, a rider who's originally from Iowa and really identifies with the Jingle Cross race, the World Cup that's coming up. She'll be very happy to see her form here as all of the racing is different when you look at going from Wisconsin to Vegas to Iowa. But certainly what we've got here is a lot more like what you're going to see in Iowa. They race at a fairgrounds up there. But very, very strong Amanda Miller here today. So that's 3rd place. Will that stay down to the finale? We'll see. Certainly wouldn't count Ellen Van Looy out at this point, but it does look really good for the Boulder Cycle Sport rider, Amanda Miller. was just in with World Bicycle Relief, talking with Brandon Dwight, who's the owner of Boulder Cycle Sport. He was incredibly excited about the season to look forward to for everybody racing cyclocross, but in particular, that can get dangerous there. I don't know if you're watching that, Tim, but boy, so close there to coming to grief. Imagine if she had on that little run up there, all of a sudden everything would have changed so quickly out there. So Amanda Miller slipping a bullet here inside of a lap and a half of racing to go. Our camera now picking up Compton. So Katie Compton and all of the people that support her, this was the Trek Cup that you were looking for when you come to Wisconsin. As Katie has made many, many trips here. We talked about how included she was in the process of defining and designing the bikes that they're racing on. I like the Miami Blue, Tim. We're getting to look at it a lot today, unobstructed, as Katie Compton's been alone out there almost all day.
Yes. Well, she saw the bike. I believe she saw the bike yesterday in the race shop for the first time. The race shop is the part of Trek where we deal with professional athletes, so we customize or we build bikes for every racing program that we have, whether it's road teams or triathlon or mountain bike or all of the above, also for Katie. So she came in last afternoon, check out the bike, was being built for her, and she loved it, riding it there. And yeah, I think she's about to come by here at the finishing straight to enter her last lap, Dave. Is that possible?
Yes, she will be hearing one to go. And once again, Katie racing on a bike that was built just a few meters away from where she is right now. So Compton coming through. So it is going to be well over 40 minutes here today as she is getting that bell with one lap of racing remaining. What a ride from Katie Compton here today. The queen is back in her throne. And Tim, I'll throw it to you, but Compton looks exactly as cool, collected, and calm as she did on lap number 1.
Yes, she did. She's crunched over her bike. She's going fast. She's not caring about anybody else. And we see Ellen Noble coming through now. She's in the handlebars in the back. She's pumping a little more on the handlebars. I think she's a little more fatigued than Katie is even. So if this were a 60-minute course, well, the difference would only be bigger, I think.
Well, very impressive, Ellen Noble. I mean, obviously the spotlight on Katie Compton, but our U23 national champion out of Maine, Ellen Noble, is, I mean, for all intents and purposes, Tim, you can look at Compton up the road, but how about what Ellen Noble is doing today? She also has dropped the rest of this field here in Waterloo.
Yes, very impressive as well. As we say that now, I see number 3 coming in, Amanda Miller. She looks good too. She's also pumping hard. Ellen is still not here, Ellen Van Loo, so it looks like Amanda can consolidate that 3rd place, I would say.
Well, and so that fight really, I think, when you look at it going back behind Van Looy, you've got McFadden. So let's talk some details. At the end of the last lap, lap 5, heading into 1 to go, it was a 24-second advantage that Compton had. Tim, I think everyone out there has agreed that should be enough, barring some kind of major mechanical problem, but that's why you ride a Trek, right? So you don't have those kind of problems.
Exactly.
Katie Compton looks like she's I think Katie Compton right now is digging in and just seeing where her limits are. Why not run it out a little bit here? There's no danger. She's not going to worry about imploding out there. I think Compton just really wants to dig in and have a hard day of racing on a World Cup quality course and let the chips fall where they may. With tomorrow, Tim, being our C1 day, do you back off at all when you're thinking about points here as try to save a little bit for tomorrow, or do you just run at full gas here?
I don't know. I would think that it's Katie's first race of the season, and I believe she really wanted to make a statement and just test the legs. And if it feels good, why not go harder, right, Dave?
I agree. And, that's where you find the real gains in this sport is when it gets tough, those that can dig in a little bit harder, that's the difference in professional cycling. And I think that's where Katie's at right now, to be honest. She is still working. I mean, you can see, I don't think that she's backing off right now. This speaks to a vision for long-term goals this year. I'm really, really impressed. I'm not going to lie, Tim. A lot of us in America are big Katie Compton fans. She's been a very popular rider. I look at events like Cincinnati, where she's Cleveland, all over the country, where she's gone and done clinics and worked with young people and has been very, very welcoming to the sport of cyclocross, in particular for young women. So
Absolutely, Dave.
yeah, so that, I mean, and that's going to be her legacy, Tim. As you're well aware where you work in sport, that it's the athletes that are not only fantastic athletes who have that ability to connect with people that really change the game for a sport like cyclocross, and that's who Katie Compton is.
Yes. I mean, cyclocross is a sport where experience is vital when it comes to training, when it comes to material, and someone like Katie Compton has so much of that, and she can really play those cards right here. She must be feeling really good, and then putting the hammer down and seeing that it works must be giving her a lot of confidence. And I work with Fabian Cancellara, of course, as well, and it's in a similar way, the experience that he has, and then if you see what he did at the Olympics, very impressive, and it's kind of making a statement if they're, let's say, not the youngest anymore, but making a statement in like, I'm here, I'm not gone yet, and you better count with me.
I agree with you, Tim, and not even close to. We're not looking at Katie Compton in decline at the tail part of her career, or at this part of her career. I'm not even going to use the word tail because we're not there yet. But you're looking at Katie Compton, who seems to have found another gear out here right now. So that's Compton now out on the final lap. Our camera's going to, when it does go back, what we're seeing has been that gap has opened up. So we talked about Ellen Noble in second. What's really close, and it's 11 seconds separating Ellen Van Looy from Amanda Miller right now. So 3 Americans. Let's quickly run through that. Katie Compton, 12-time American champion, 2-time World Cup overall winner, the 20-year-old U23 and junior champion out of Maine. Ellen Noble, Aspire Racing in second. And then Amanda Miller for Boulder Cycle Sport Yoga Glow. They love yoga in Boulder, Tim.
Yes, I actually used to live in Boulder until we moved to Wisconsin, so they definitely love yoga. And
yeah, you know what I'm talking about then, for sure.
I know what you too, right?
Yeah, right. So Ellen Van Looy, it's so good to have the Belgian racing with us, one of the legends in the sport. So, Tim, I don't want to talk about the negative, but we did have some riders that disappeared on us out here today. I'd mentioned the 2 French riders, expected. Sure. So we expected to see Caroline Mani on a good day today, and certainly that didn't work out. Tomorrow's C1 event, she'll be champing at the bit, the always competitive, another inspiring rider, to say the least, when you talk about Mani. But she did not make our top 10. I am impressed to see Ellen Noble certainly having a U23 win is really hard to compare to elites. Ellen still rides in the top 5 at national championships, even as a 19-year-old in that elite group. So I think you're looking at Ellen Noble having made a big step forward this summer as well. Compton on the front, really getting down to it now, the final part of this last lap. For Katie, the gap is large enough that there's no real question about first, no real question about second, and getting close to saying for third. Amanda Miller in incredibly good shape out there right now as well. We really locked down, Tim. It looks like, I'll see if I can find Tim out there, but our top 10 spots have not seen really any changing outside of this back and forth between Ellen Van Looy and Amanda Miller, but it looks like Amanda Miller getting the better of that. This is another good rundown right now of where we've got the women out on course. Let's see, it's going to be a long day of racing here on the Trek factory grounds. It's just such a fun place to be here in Waterloo on a beautiful day for bike racing. Temperatures consistently staying now just a little bit under 80 degrees, even a little closer to mid-70s at this point out there as we have this very challenging circuit. We've talked about how this was handcrafted by Trek employees over the better part of the last half decade. A lot of passion has gone into building this course. And then what's really important is Sven Ness coming along and helping them really tweak it and take it to the World Cup level that they're so excited about here. So we're going to see now Katie Compton. That's Ellen Van Looy actually flashing by one way as Compton now over a minute ahead of Van Looy out on course here. That's really talking about those gaps sitting up inside our top 5. It's pretty consistent from rider to rider to rider as you make your way down. There's no one rider that is sitting just seconds behind making a catch or that's making a real run at it here on the final lap for our elite women at day 1 here in Waterloo. Let's see how different, Tim, this course is. It's almost like you're racing in 2 different parts of the state. So we'll look at Katie Compton now coming in to close out the deal, driving the final nail home. For an American bike racing fan, this is a beautiful sight. 12-time American champion and back on top of the podium here at the Trek Cyclocross Cup, Katie Compton. It's a very nice win for Katie as she drives that one home. And see, that's a smile that's well earned. A long off season. Katie did not race in Rochester, so there's actually, you can see Tim with the mic right now. So Katie has a lot of fans with all the trips that she's made to Wisconsin, and we found a worthy winner. That's Renee Calloway there, who is our race director here on site, and a big Katie Compton fan herself. So this is going to be Ellen Noble, U23 national champion, and couldn't ask for a better day for Rafa and the Aspire Racing team. So Ellen clinches silver here on day one in Waterloo. You're going to see a lot more of Ellen Noble in years to come. And for Aspire Racing, obviously Jeremy Powers really working with some of these kids that represent the next generation of American cyclocross greats, and in this case, coming out of Maine. So obviously an all-American podium is something that was talked about, and we'll see if Amanda Miller will be able to accomplish that goal. And she does for the Boulder Cycle Sport Yoga Glow team. Amanda Miller looks over her shoulder and realizes that she has had a very good day at the office. So that rounds out your podium. That's another rider who's going to be walking away from today saying that all that work this summer really has paid off. We'll see Ellen Van Looy. I imagine there is Ellen coming through now to collect fourth place on a day like today as the Belgian makes the trip over to the United States. Ellen has raced in America before at Cross Vegas and at the World Championships in Louisville. And it's great to have her here in Waterloo. So tell if idea, rider. And it sounds like he's got our winner, Tim, with Katie Compton.
Yes. Katie's here right next to me. Katie, congratulations. How do you feel?
Thanks. I feel really tired now. It's hot out here, and that last couple laps are definitely a struggle.
Yeah. You were impressive out there.
Thank you. It was hard. I just wanted to kind of have an open for tomorrow, and then I kind of attacked a little earlier than I wanted to, but I thought they kind of closed the gap some, but I ended up being out front and had to commit to it. So a little harder than I wanted to go today, but yeah, it was good. It's good race prep for tomorrow.
Yeah. Do you think tomorrow you can go even harder?
I don't know. I'm going to wait and see how I feel tomorrow.
Sorry, say that again?
I'm just going to wait and see how I feel tomorrow. Hopefully I'll have a good day then, too.
All right. Any other impressions about the rivals that you were racing against today?
It was good. It was fast. Definitely Amanda and Ellen and Belgian Ellen, they all rode really well, so I knew they were chasing hard, so I need to keep smooth and hold my gap.
All right. Congratulations. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Tim. And Belgian Ellen will be an easy way now to remember. Ellen Van Looy is obviously Ellen Powers. So we're going to go ahead and take a look. Some of the big moments. So this was the pass from Katie Compton. That was actually as the dagger went into the heart for the rest of the field, as Compton never looked back. What was really interesting after that was how that battle for the podium sorted out, as Ellen Noble did a fantastic job of doing exactly what Katie did, going clear right behind her, and then ultimately Ellen Van Looy battling with Amanda Miller, but Miller getting the better for the bronze medal here. So that's a good look at our expo area. You can see represented very well all of the Wisconsin companies, Collectivo Coffee out there keeping everyone energized, and Lakefront has been with this event. It's a brewery located right here that is a big part of this event. And the cheese curd vendor. I'm sure they're doing good business on a day like today. It's a big part of the Wisconsin vibe. They call it Wisconsin Nice. And it's a real thing. There's no doubt about it. When you come to this state, people are genuinely friendly. It applies to Minnesota and Iowa as well. This part of the country, just great for that. And let's go ahead and throw it back down. It sounds like Tim's got Ellen Van Looy.
Yes. Ellen Van Looy is right next to me. Ellen, how did it go for you? Are you satisfied with the result, or were you hoping for a little more?
I was hoping for a little bit more because I was in race for third place the first laps, but I saw Amanda was better in the technical section, so she always passed me, and then I have to close the gap, and I could come back to her, but then it was like yeah, I have to always close the gap, and it takes too much power for me.
The first lap, everybody was kind of like looking at each other and feeling each other, and then Katie really put the hammer down, and the race was open from there on. Can you talk about that moment?
Yeah, I think that's always the tactique of Katie. Sorry, I'm sad, but I think she's not that best starter, but she's like a diesel when she's on full force. We don't see her back to finish, so that's her style of racing. And yeah, she won, maybe a little bit too easy for her today, but yeah, we have a lot of time to beat her.
You have a lot of analysis.
All right. Well, we'll pick back up, I'm sure, with Ellen Van Looy tomorrow. Ellen, a rough competitor. Certainly, she doesn't give any quarter out there, and I would imagine she'll come back very hungry to get on the podium the next day. A lot of pride, obviously, in Belgian cyclocross. They don't mess around in this sport. As a matter of fact, in this level, nobody's out there messing around, that's for sure. So Ellen Van Looy analyzing the win from Katie Compton, as she will be watching the podium presentation. That'll include Ellen Noble and Amanda Miller. So that's wrapping up things for the women. As a few more riders actually still out on course. Now, obviously, we'll move quickly into our pro men's event here, but another chance to get a look at the venue here. We've talked since the beginning of the show, and once again, welcome, everyone. If you're just picking up the Trek Cyclocross Cup, this is our 4th edition here. You really are looking at a World Cup quality course. A lot of thought has gone into that, including people like Sven Nys. On a day like today, out in that crowd, you've got Niels Albert, the multi-time World Cup and world champion. Sven Nys is here. Sven van Toorenhout as well. World champion Wout van Aert we'll be talking about in just a moment, as he'll be receiving his call-up. And what an opportunity for the men. So we're going to take a short break as we wrap up thing for the women and congratulate Katie Compton, and we'll be back with the men here at the Trek Cup.
We saw that there was a hole in the market for a truly technologically advanced cyclocross bike. The way the boon came about is really from a deep passion. We love cyclocross. We love to compete in it, and we saw that we had the pieces to put together a machine that is so far above anything else on the market. IsoSpeed was developed with Fabian Cancellara to win the most monumental classics out there, Flanders and Roubaix. Isolating the top tube and the seat tube from each other and allowing to have additional compliance without having any negative effect on power transfer. IsoSpeed is proven to ride faster over rough roads. The instant question was, when can I have a cyclocross bike with that? Unfortunately, nothing's that easy. We took IsoSpeed and we melded it into an inline seat tube IsoSpeed. It allowed us to increase clearance for carrying. The geometry was something that we developed specifically with Katie Compton. She worked tirelessly on round after round after round of geometry testing until we got it just right.
I have to keep a straight face too. I just love the feel of the acceleration. When you're sprinting out of turns and when you're sprinting up the short steep hills, shouldering the bike and going up run-ups, it's so nice to pick up something light. If there's something on your shoulder that doesn't weigh much, it helps.
With OCLV and all of the years of testing, we could produce the lightest cyclocross bike without any compromises to durability.
Feeling fast, I think, is what I'm going to notice the most.
We're not trying to make the choice of braking for you. So whether it's cantilever or disc, there's an option for you with the all-new Boom. There are some specific things that we looked at to make sure that we had extra protection. We have carbon armor molded into OCLV weather stripping to protect from the wear and tear of the elements. We have a new internal battery mount in this bike. 3S chain keeper, bringing that over because nobody likes to drop a shift, especially when it's wet and nasty and you're trying to catch the guy in front of you. When we wanted to get into cyclocross as a dedicated race platform, we started by signing Katie Compton. That was the behind-the-scenes move that really started the development of all of our new cyclocross products. We're taking it to another level with signing additional athletes. Sven Nys is the pinnacle of what cyclocross racing is, and Sven Nys on a Trek is awesome.
I've always looked at Sven as a rider that kind of want to mimic. He's amazingly fast. He's super talented. He's hardworking. Have him racing a bike that helped develop. I think that's pretty cool. I'm curious to see, what he thinks and how fast he can go on it.
He got on the Boom and just was blown away. When we asked what can we do to make it better, he said it's perfect.
I'm really happy with the development of this bike. That brings me in another dimension in cyclocross, and I'm happy to be one of the family of Trek and to do something special with them.
most critical component to the overall ride and feel quality of the bike itself. And when you improve the quality of the wheel, you improve the quality of the ride. Wheel building is still an art. No matter how many controls you put in place, you still need to have experience and craftsmanship to ultimately build a better wheel. It's when you can't really tell where technology stops and the human element begins. And that's where all the good stuff happens. An aerodynamic wheel will make you faster. If the data doesn't lie, you can actually feel the wheel propel you forward. That's what it is doing for you. This was years of development that took us to get to the place where we are today. We are a supplier to the world's fastest bikes, and we make those fast bikes even faster. You want your wheels to have a good feel to them, and you want them to last over time. So they need to be able to corner hard and hold up to the pounding of cobbles or the hits on a downhill run. Our wheels are going through hundreds of thousands of cycles of testing before they ever see the bike for a rider. We are North America's only independently certified UCI test facility, which gives us a huge advantage, and we can develop things faster, get them to our race teams quicker. It comes down to relentlessly testing with our athletes and continually questioning every step of the process. For example, an Aeolus carbon rim. Instead of drilling every spoke hole the same, we calculate the exact angle that the spoke is going to enter the rim. Lacing up the wheel, getting the nipples onto the spokes, we have specific tools that we have crafted ourselves that you just can't find anywhere else in the world. We check for hop and wobble, we check for tension, and then we move into dish to within 100th of a millimeter. To be able to manufacture something that precise, that's when it works. We've got a lot of really talented and dedicated people who are committed to making sure that every wheel that leaves our door is deserving of your bike.
we are ready, we are a strong team, so go and take it.
Welcome back to everyone joining us around the world. You're looking at beautiful Waterloo, Wisconsin. We just were treated to a fantastic women's race with Katie Compton taking the win. We have learned that Caroline Mani actually scratched after warming up, and we're now hearing that Wout van Aert is going to scratch from today's C2 and is planning on lining up for tomorrow's C1. So as we look at the venue here, we've talked a lot about all the heart and soul that's gone into building this course from the good folks at Trek and the vision that they have for this sport. A lot of the men racing here will be coming back, and I'd imagine the field that we have, the strongest certainly that we've ever seen at the Trek Cup. This is all part of that historic run that started today in American cyclocross, going from the Trek Cup to Cross Vegas and then back to Jingle Cross in Iowa. So it's been a really fun day of racing. Certainly Katie Compton, very impressive. Katie has to walk away shaking her head after last year, and just right again, finding a rhythm here this year. Ellen Noble, fantastic for second, and Amanda Miller rounding out an All-American podium with Ellen Van Looy, the Belgian rider on Telnet Fidea, ending up in fourth. So this is a good look at the center of the venue here, kind of the epicenter, as I would say, as all of our fantastic partners, the Collectivo Coffees and the Lakefront Breweries. Rafa has joined us in there. I think Tilly is tucked in there somewhere today. So the crowd getting to settle in, and now we got to look at our front row. So, Tim, I'll throw it down to you. Quite a group you've got assembled there.
Yeah, it's looking great. There's the black, yellow, and white is looking shiny in this Wisconsin sunlight. I spoke with Tom Meusen, number 2. Just 2 minutes ago, basically, while he was finishing his warm-up round or reconnaissance ride, and he says there's still quite a bit of humidity in the ground, so which makes that there's actually no place in the course where it's really smooth. He feels like he has to push the pedals all the time, and I said that's life, and he laughed. So yeah, he's optimistic.
Well, so as we look at the entire Telnet Fidea team, Tom Meusen leading that team on points. He's the number 6th ranked rider in the world. As you mentioned, Tim, he's got the number 2 bib on. Jeremy Powers on that front row as well. Powers for Aspire Racing, and you'll see him in that Rafa jersey. Ton Aerts, another rider to watch. He was right there joking around, it looks like. Tim, the mood of the Belgians who've come over, these guys had a chance to go see the factory over the last couple of days. They've clearly been enjoying their time here in Wisconsin. Talking with the coaches, sounds like the training has been great. It's been a really good trip for the Telnet Fidea team.
It has. They all got here on Tuesday. They've been on the course every single day, loving it, and they feel it's a very balanced course with a lot of technical parts, which would be great for a guy like Meusen, and then a lot of power parts towards the second half, let's say, which could be good for a guy like Arts and somebody like Quinten Hermans or Tim Merlier. So it's got a bit of both, and it's could make up for a good race. We just had a really good women's race, so let's hope that the men can definitely do as well.
Yeah, Ton Arts is certainly, as ranked number 15 rider in the world, someone to watch on a day like today, and especially for someone like the American Stephen Haidt. This is a great opportunity for these guys to kind of isolate things a little bit. You don't get the top Dutch riders and Belgian riders over in the United States enough, and get to play on even terms. No travel over to Europe to race with them. This time they had to travel to come and race with you. So it's a very, very interesting day. Hermans, another rider in the top 20 in the world, and then the Krelan rider. I'm not sure if you can see him down there. His teammate was scratching. Is Tim Merlier there today? Merlier would be wearing rider number 7 and looking for the Krelan jersey. So this is going to be right now for guys like Jeremy Powers, for guys like Stephen Hyde, and you look a little deeper, Jamie Driscoll, who's also been very strong. They're just 2 minutes away now from having a real test. Today's C2 leads into tomorrow's C1, and then obviously a lot of people talking about Wout van Aert maybe not taking the start today because he's so focused on defending the win that he had in Cross Vegas last year. That would not surprise me at all, Tim. So we're just coming up pretty quickly here on 1 minute to start for our pro men.
Yes, I spoke with Wout van Aert yesterday. He decided in the end not to race today and give everything tomorrow, just because there's not so much time between the races this weekend, and the race in Vegas. So he wanted to rest up for one more day and then give it all tomorrow.
Now, these guys have been incredibly generous coming over, being fantastic with our American fans. Really can't thank them enough for being real global ambassadors for the sport of cyclocross. And now we get ready to clash swords here in Waterloo. So the top Americans lining up with some of the best riders coming over from Europe. You can just feel that energy on the start line now, Tim. So final checks being made. It looks like they just want to clear that tape out of the way, and we should be ready to hit out here. So not quite the format that these guys would be accustomed to at the World Cup level, but it looks like as we line them up now, we are ready to go. Rob Peters, another rider in our field, certainly be watching for the Crelan Vascoud Service. A bit of a slip of the pedal. They're right in the middle of the group. What a fantastic start we're looking at for Tobin Ortenblad. Now, we'll be talking about Tobin. You can see he's the rider in the donkey label jersey, the maroon color jersey, rider out of Santa Cruz, California, known as one of America's fastest starters. And let's see how he's sorting this one out, going against some of the heavy hitters, guys like Tom Mewson up there. Mewson, so well known in America for his some of his bunny hopping videos that have been on YouTube. And now you can see they're going to make it very, very hard in the early going. But Tobin Ortenblad, one of the riders who've been able to get up there and join. That certainly does look like Team Vascoud Service and Tim Merlier, who has made that the train rolling right now. Ortenblad, incredible, looking for that Stars and Stripes jersey of Jeremy Powers here, as this is going to be the story of the day. Mewson and company hitting very, very hard. Almost looks like the Italians in Breaking Away, if you remember that classic movie, Tim, which is one team so dominant, so respected around the world. And here they are racing in Wisconsin. So,
yes, I mean, yes, Dave?
I was just going to say, Tom Mewson obviously comes in as a 5-star favorite today. One of the best bike handlers in the business, Tim.
Yes, absolutely. He's a little bit like Sven Nys, his coach now, and the ways that he can do incredible stuff on a bike. And the turn that they just took here with the dirt pile, he said that the inner line is definitely the fastest one. And for a guy like him, that's really a piece of cake. I know that when I did the race a couple of hours ago, everybody took the outer line, which is much easier. But he's like, it's a couple of more meters more, so I'm going to take the inner line.
Boy, it's going to be really interesting, Tim, to see who makes this front group here now. I see some of the young Americans like Lance Haydet there in the black and blue of the Raleigh Clement team. I mean, this is a day that he really gets to find out whether he's ready to go to another level or not. One of the top American juniors jumping in with this field here now. But it really is doing the damage on the front. It's going to be Telnet Videa. That's going to be the story throughout the day. Unlike what Ellen Van Looy faced on the men's side of things, they bring a potent team here to Waterloo. And it doesn't look like anything is going to be changing on the front for a while here. The American, they're sitting fourth wheel. This is a ride that is not out of the norm for Tobin Ortenblad. But as this young man really just moving into his elite career right now, his sponsor, Donkey Label, located just up in Minnesota, but it's a really neat brand that does a lot of different things in cycling, and they've partnered with McGovern to get Tobin to races, and the fact that he's hanging in there right now really does speak to the fact that he's been known in the United States as one of, if not the fastest starter here, and he's going up against some real monsters there. So trying to take a look a little bit further back into this group, I mean, it's pretty much 90% Dutch and Belgian riders right now. Not to be a surprise at all, but the gaps are starting to open up out there, Tim. You know, and it looks like we might also have Jeremy Powers scratching from our start list, Tim? I don't know if you can see. I'm up in a booth right now, but I'm going to guess that our friends from Focus, thank you, Jeff, are right. As if we're not seeing Powers now, and I didn't see him on that start line. Maybe you can confirm for us down there that Powers has scratched as well today, Tim. With tomorrow's C1 having more points, more status, more prize money, and it really is also you have to look at all of those things are true, but aren't really the issue. It's about the fact that World Cup #1 is coming up, and I don't think these guys want to go too deep 2 days in a row here in Wisconsin when you talk about some of the top riders. So we right now are working under the assumption that not only did Wout van Aert take the scratch today, also Jeremy Powers. That really wouldn't surprise me. As we take a look at Alan Krugoff coming through now, but going back up to the front. Tim, I'll throw it down to you. Nothing too surprising, I wouldn't think. All right, so going back now to the front of the bike race, where we talked about how important it was to this event to have our friends from Europe coming back and joining us. And it's nice to see that they're taking things seriously out here as well. So that is definitely Quentin Hannermans that we're looking at. Ton Aerts, the other rider. I was lucky to have Wout van Aert help coaching me up on some of the subtleties in the names. And I certainly was, it's not a tune, it's Ton Aerts that's up in that group as well. That's going to be the story of the day. Rider 2 on his back is going to be Tom Mewsen, coming in ranked number 6 in the world. And certainly this is the vanguard of the future of Belgian and Dutch cycling that we're looking at right now. Although Mewsen, Belgian, his teammate Ton Aerts, Belgian, Quentin Hermans, Belgian, all up in that grab. Then you've got right behind them in the maroon donkey label jersey. I don't even know if Donkey Label brands the jersey by printing on it. They like to keep it classy, kind of Rafa-esque out there. And that is Tobin Ortenblad riding out of his mind on a day like today. And let's see who's going to start scrambling up to get back up into this front group. Maybe things settling down just a little bit. But it looks like Telnet Fidea has got the rest of the team just about ready to latch back on here after a blistering first lap about to be completed here. So we've got such a long way to go. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We're out on lap number 1 on a big day of racing here in Waterloo. So, yeah, the freight train coming together now on the front. The usual suspects are there. Let's look for some of the outliers as well. As that is also going to be, no doubt, Steve Chanel, the French rider, has made it in the orange-ish jersey there. So Chanel, his wife Lucy, racing with us, both coming to Wisconsin. So he's made what looks to be the selection for the day. It is completely possible now, and he's gone to the front of this bike race. Boy, if you're supporting young Americans in cycling, Tobin Ortenblad is just a terrific young man to look at. As this is where Donkey Label really gets their money's worth on a day like today. They've been with this young man for a couple of years. He's an extremely well-liked young man in the sport. And Tobin, right now, is having the best ride that he's ever had in his career. I mean, you can look back on that first lap. Tobin has been U23 national cyclocross champion. He's won races in this part of the country on his road bike, racing a full road season. Used to be part of the Cal Giant Strawberries team, and that's Tobin Ortenblad on the front right now. This is a significant moment if you support junior and U23 cycling in America to see what Tobin is doing right now. And just about everybody left with him is from Europe at this point. Pretty much the entire Telnet Fidea team. The other rider there, that's as we work through this front group right now, it looks like we had Jeremy Powers not taking the start today. That's Rob Peters, the Crayland rider in the orange and green. So Rob Peters, a huge talent as well. Now ranked number 40 in the world, but he's been up in the top 10 in his career. So Crayland Vastgoed Service, Crayland a ag bank in Belgium, Vastgoed Service, a realty agency. Tom Mewsen, the rider on Tobin Ortenblad's wheel. And definitely Rob Peters has moved himself up now. So very dangerous. 2 riders there that Tobin, well, everybody near Tobin is dangerous right now. There we are picking up Corne van Kessel, the Dutch rider. He's right now starting to move up, it looks like, out of this group. And there you go, another flurry of attacks as Tobin Ortenblad will be really hit hard there by another Belgian missile going off the front of this select group. Right now, if you just look around and show Tobin the names of the riders that he's got in the group with him, he would have to be incredibly happy to be what looks like the last American standing here in this group. Let's confirm that, as we haven't got everybody identified up in this front group right now. But Tobin's not going to mess around. And so, actually, Castelli is the clothing that the guys are wearing for the Donkey Label team this year. Thanks, Chris McGovern. Chris, frame builder out of Nevada City, California, who is another guy who's got to be just incredibly excited to see what's happening right now at the front of this bike race. Also taking a look, that's Troy Wells in the Cliff Bar kit. Troy the Bear, he'll be one of the top Americans on a day like today. Will be interesting to see, do we get 5 Americans into the top 15? That would be a big ask when you look at the quality of the field that we have. Tim, I'm not sure if we've been able to find you back out there or not.
Yes, Dave.
Hey, good. It looks like the Belgians certainly doing what we expected them to do.
Yes. The speed, I just saw them go by here, and they're going to be at the pits soon. The speed of this race so far is blistering. So everybody's really putting everything out there and seeing how the others respond. It's a little bit of a game, And from round 1, lap 1, it's full on.
So up in that group is Musen, the rider that you'd be watching for the finale here, is Ton Aerts. He's 15th ranked in the world right now. Is he a guy that you would put 4 stars next to as a favorite?
Yes, why not? He's still very young. He's from 1993, so if my math is right, he's only 26 years old. No, 23 years old. And a very strong guy. So the second part of the lap, which is more about power and endurance, that could be something for him. I would say Meusen is the guy for first part of the lap of that team, and then he could be for the second part.
Yeah, and you can see now they're really starting to pour it on here, Tim, as well. As I've been talking while we didn't have you with us about how incredible this is for the young American Tobin Ortenblad to be up in this group, and it looks like he's the only American. Yeah, here we go. Good rundown now. So Rob Peters is there. Tom Jussen is there. Quinten Hermans is there. Ton Aerts is there. The French rider, Steve Chanel. Corne van Kessel, the Dutch rider on Telnet Fidea. Kerry Werner, there's the man. That's the outlier that I was missing here. Rally team rider. Kerry Werner up in this group with Jim Ernutz. So, okay, taking a look now, getting a little messy right there, Tim.
As you said, when the American rider is maybe impressed with all the Belgians around him, I know that the Belgians are impressed to be around here in America. And it looks like now we got 4 Telenet Fidea riders plowing it through, and they're coming through the pits now and seeing, like, oh, this is a team time trial.
Well, Tim, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie. It's an American movie from the late 70s called Breaking Away. Did it ever make it into your movie theater at home?
I wasn't born then yet.
Right. Well, they do have a video. But in that movie, the theme was the Italian riders coming to very near here into Bloomington, Indiana, and riding 4 riders off the front of the bike race. And there's one American that challenged him, named Dave Stoller. And right now, certainly Kerry Werner and Tobin Ortenblad are trying to play that role of Dave Stoller out here. It's really, really, really tough when you've got, right now, number 6 ranked rider in the world in this field. I mean, the world champion will be racing with us tomorrow, and we really look forward to having Wout van Aert with us here. But, the number 15 rider, the number 18 ranked rider in the world are riding up in this group right now. So, Tim, I'm going to throw it down to you because I know you've got one of the great riders of all time. Some say the greatest of all time, Sven Nys, with you.
Oh, Sven is definitely the greatest of all times in this sport. Sven, your guys are firing it up right now. How do you feel about that?
Very good. 4 guys in the front, four guys from the team. So now they need to find each other. This is the fast part of the track, and they need to bring a lot of speed into this part of the course. It's really important that they work together now, and they make the gap bigger, and that's what's happening right now. So it's very good.
What is everybody's assigned role? Are we working for Tom? Are we working for Toon? Or are they just going to play by ear and see how it works?
In the first part of the race, they need to work together and then see who is the strongest of the 4 guys, and then they're going to try to help the strongest in the front.
Okay. Well, right now their heart rates are probably all the way up there. How do you even talk to each other at that point of the race?
Sometimes it's possible when you have good skills on the turns and the downhills. You can recover a little bit, and that's more than enough to talk. Not a long conversation, but a small talk, small yelling helps sometimes to motivate a rider in the bunch.
All right. What are you going to tell them when they pass here in the pits? Are you going to yell at them too?
I told them that they need to ride together now in the beginning of the race, that they need to make the gap, and then we'll see afterwards.
Thank you, Sven. We'll check in with you later.
Hey, thank you, Tim. Hey, next time you have a chance to talk with Sven, ask him, did the guys just get these bikes this week? Or maybe you know the answer to that. Are these brand new Treks that they're racing on? Did they pick them up at the factory?
I do know the answer to that. No, they have them since a while already. They've been training on them. They love them. I mean, this season is a little bit of a change for them because they changed bike sponsors. There's a couple other changes that we've made. So before coming to the first American World Cups, they used to do an altitude camp in Boulder, Colorado, and actually this year they've chosen to stay at sea level in Mallorca. So that's another change for them. But so far it seems to be pretty successful.
All right. Well, Sven talked about tactic and strategy, but right now what we're looking at, that's going to be Corne van Kessel, the Dutch rider, along with Quinten Hermans. So these two now not splitting the group, just keeping the pace very, very high as Hermans going to come up to the front right now. But obviously these guys are all in it together here. Tim, we're only not even a quarter of the way into this race, and they've got everybody in serious trouble out here.
Yes, they came here with a mission, and so far they're pretty successful at it, I would say.
Boy, you talk about the heart rate. You were out there racing yourself not that long ago. These guys are keeping it pinned out here right now. They're not attacking out of this group. They're just flying. I mean, when someone in this group of four is feeling that they want to go up and be the locomotive, they're taking some very big turns right now. And it looks like they're finally getting rid of the American out of this group for the Donkey Label team. Yeah, actually, now we're starting to see it really settle down. I think that's going to be Steve Chanel that's having a strong ride here. Yes, Chanel is going to be coming through, looking now a little bit further. Rob Peters now coming out of that group. And, yeah, Kerry Werner, along with Tobin Ortenblad, have been the Americans that have really represented well for us up to this point, but now it looks like Telnet Fadea's pouring it on. Tom Hewson up in that front group. Ton Ertz is there. Quinten Hermans there. And finally, Corne van Kessel. That's the group that you're looking at, that group of four. Steve Chanel trying to join. And the other rider here, that is going to be Tim Merlier, the Belgian rider there that just might make it. It's not entirely Belgium up in this front group, as Corne is a Dutch rider, but boy, domination coming from the men from Europe. And with all due respect, Tim, this shouldn't surprise anyone. American cyclocross has come a long, long way, but certainly when you look at the epicenter of racing that happens in Northern Europe, these are the men that have been racing at the highest level. The next real wave of big stars all riding in the front right now in Wisconsin.
Yeah. I mean, we're a very small country with the size of Massachusetts, but I would say that in cross, I would argue that we're a pretty good representation.
Well, I think that's part of the culture of cross that's become so popular in America is the Belgian element of it, without a doubt. Svenness is a real thing in the sport of cyclocross. And when you make your way in the sport in America, you recognize how much impact what's happened over there. Holland, too. That's one of the interesting things. Belgium deserves to be identified as really the core of European cyclocross. But the Dutch and the Czech riders, and I'm sure we have a lot of viewers in Holland and Czech Republic that are actively watching what this young crew of, as I said, I think when you look at it, Wout van Aert right now, Tim, is 22 years old. He was racing as a junior in 2012. That's not that long ago. And most of these guys, I think Tom Hewson, probably one of the elder statesmen from this group, and he's got a long career ahead of him when you talk about the Telnet Fadea rider.
It is, definitely. And I mean, it's not a secret that also Lars van der Haar, who's from Holland, as you mentioned, will be joining the Telenet Fidea team next year, starting January 1st. So this is definitely a team that is going to be a force in cyclocross coming soon. And I see that actually the two guys that were behind the four are actually making back up to the four now.
Lars van der Haar, another very well-known name in the United States. Tim, I would say, is it fair to say the relationship between Corne van Kessel and Lars van der Haar is very much like Sanne Kant and Ellen, I would think. You know, you're the two best in your country, but substantially better than most in the world. And we're going to replay the pass we saw just a little bit earlier here. As you can see some riders having done some big work out there in the early part, and I think they're going to start turning it over to their teammates, Tim, for the second half of this race. We're out on lap number 3 here in beautiful Waterloo. Waterloo is a small town located I was going to say it in miles, Tim, but I'll convert to kilometers. It's about 60 kilometers away from Madison, Wisconsin, which is the state capital here. This is agriculture country. It really is a beautiful, beautiful part of America. And this is where the Trek factory is located. All of the grounds that we're racing on have been purchased by Trek over the years. They started here in the early 70s, and as their worldwide reputation has grown, so has their ability to buy up parcels of land that become available. And then as Matt Shriver and Scott DeBear started, Scott DeBear has been with Trek and Gary Fisher going back for more than 2 decades now. But as Matt Shriver showed up on the scene, he really brought his passion for cyclocross here. We talked about this during the women's race, but then that fever caught hold, and there have been work parties, dozens and dozens of Trek employees come out regularly to work on this course. And then I think, Tim, it's fair to say bringing in an expert like Sven Ness made a big difference for everyone's morale and enthusiasm, and obviously his expertise really helped bring together this World Cup quality course.
Yes, absolutely. Also, Sven was instrumental in the development of the Boon, which is the Trek's #1 cyclocross bike. And he loves the bike. He came out here as soon as we signed him, basically, and helped develop the bike. And he's an amazing ambassador for the brand as well, but for the sport even more so. So we're very happy to have him on board.
Well, so one of his charges, Tom Hewson, is the rider number 2 that you're looking at there, staying on the bike through the loading dock sector that we're looking at on the course. With him is Ton Ertz and Quinten Hermans. Let's see what we've got here now, how they want to play this. Actually, it's Corne van Kessel is wearing rider number 8, who's up there. So correcting myself a little bit on this now. What is the front group of 3? Is that a rolling podium? Sure looks like it to me, Tim, although we are only 20 minutes into what's going to be, I'm going to guess they'll keep it pretty close to an hour today with it being a C2 and another big day of racing coming up tomorrow. I don't think they're going to want to run it out to that full hour, 10, 70 minutes of racing on a warm day. We'll see. It's up to our officials down there. But as we identify, so that's Corne van Kessel, the Dutch rider on the front. Right behind him with 6 on his back, that's Quinten Hermans. Now, they're all on the same Telenet Fidea team. Tom Hewson. I'd say, Tim, is it fair to say of this Telenet Fidea group, Hewson, the most established pro on the team?
Yes, that's definitely fair to say. But he's got the numbers around him. If there's 5 guys of his team, including him, and then Van Kessel, who's kind of like, isolated and surrounded by just Belgians. So it's up to him to play his cards smart. And you can see Meusen just going over that bump there very impressively, very technical guy. And, looks like it's down to 4 Telenet guys and Van Kessel now, as it looks like Toon Arts is dropping back a little bit.
Okay, so rider number 10. That is going to be Steve Schinell. He's the only non-Telenet Fidea rider up in this group. We have Corne van Kessel with Telenet Fidea. We've got Quinten Hermans with Fidea, Ton Ertz with Fidea, and Tom Hewson with Fidea. So those are the 4, and actually it's going to be 5 riders in this group of 6. So just about the entire Telenet Fidea team has made it, because that is, number 4, Toon Ertz, is the rider just about to join, or looks like he's close to joining this group. Wow. All right, Tim. This is it's going to be interesting to see. It's almost like we've got 2 different bike races happening out here right now. The Belgians, the Dutch, and then everybody else. Well, got to remember Frenchman in there. Schinell as well in the orange jersey here. So we're sending Tim out to another location on course. Well, he'll grab another interview. It's been awesome. You know, Niels Albert is with us here as well. It's not just the Sven Van Turnhout and Sven Ness that are with us in Wisconsin right now. We've really got the brain trust, the masterminds of European cycling out here. So if you're working off of numbers there, that's Chinel, but the French rider, but that's him on your screen right now. Rider number 2 is Tom Hewson. Rider number 4 there is Ton Ertz. And as we work our way through, we're out on lap number 4 now, coming up on the midpoint of this race. It's the only non-Telnet Fideo rider up in this front group of 5 total riders. And it looks like it's so close to being 6 here, but not quite yet. You can see how the wind has been picking up as the afternoon continues on here on the Trek property. We'll look a little deeper back through past our top 10 here, I would think, at some point, although at the tempo that they're riding here, we're going to eliminate a lot of guys from even finishing. They use what they call the 80% rule, and that really means that you can't afford to let these guys get too close to lapping you before you get pulled off of the course out here by our officials. Although these laps are long, we've talked about that video that GCN did such a great job with. Those are a bunch of fun guys for sure. And they produced a video that showed you a great look from Sven's perspective of what a lap looks like out here. When you have a group like this and you're one rider, and you can see now there are riders out on course, just have to just respect what's coming at you when you look at the Telnet Fidea team. We'll be talking more about Krelan Vast Good Service coming up tomorrow for sure. I think they're going to keep their powder dry on a day like today. Rider number 4, Ton Ertz there. He's been doing a lot of the work in the early going for Telnet Fidea. So Steve Chanel should be pretty happy with the way things are going for him right now, sitting up in this group. I think even he realizes how there's nobody alive that could find this a good situation, riding in a group of 5 with Telnet Fidea. They, as Tim had been mentioning, have been one of the teams that has taken globalization of cyclocross and stopped talking about it and started doing it by coming over and doing camps. I know that Brooke Watts, the director of Cross Vegas, has a great relationship with this team. This is the team that Amy Dombrowski rode for before she was we tragically lost her going back to the 2013 season, just about this time of year. And they certainly handled all of that with so much class and grace. And as the Amy D Foundation continues on, we're going to be really, looking forward to supporting what they're doing. So taking a look now back up to this front group here. Tim, I'm not sure if you can hear me out there. We're taking a nice look from above, one of our drone shots of the venue here.
Yes, I can hear you, Dave. It's nice to have a drone out here and really picture the size of the course as well as it wanders around the prairie lands around the factory of Trek.
Yeah, I don't know that we've ever really had that kind of quality image before, to tell you the truth. And you're right. It not only shows you the grounds here at Trek, but what the gaps look like between the groups today as well. So, boy, Tim, let's talk some tactics. If you're Steve Chinel, the French rider here for Krelan Basket Service, what are you going to do? What cards can you play? And I apologize, Chinel with cross team by G4. My apologies.
Yes, no problem. I think if you're in that position, you just, as we say in Dutch, you're in a sofa. You don't have to do anything. You just let the others ride, and he's in a good spot. He's smart to be in second spot. He shouldn't be at the end, I think. But it's up to the others to make the race and play, and for him to play his card smartly.
You're absolutely right when you say for him the positioning is really just not letting them tail him off the group. He doesn't want to be behind a rider who just lets a gap open up out here, because that might be it on a day like today. As we take a look at Quinten Hermans, is the rider up on the front right now for the Telnet Fidea team. So really more defense than offense if you're Steve right now.
Yeah, but in the end, it's cyclocross. So if you have the legs, it's good. If you don't have the legs, you can have all the cards of the world, Dave.
Right, exactly, Tim. And right now, you are at a C2. These are significant points. Not quite what you see at a C1 or World Cup, but it is obviously that's the name of the game in this sport is adding up those points. And anytime, at a C2 event, you'll take them when you can get them. And right now he's in a points-gathering position out there if he can stay with this group. But it's just going to be a barrage coming from the Dutch and the Belgian riders on the Telnet Fidea team from here on in. Tim, as you well know, you've witnessed this for your entire life. They have many, many options when it comes down to the finale when you're in a situation like this. 4 riders, it looks like, in the front group. Make it 4 total, 3 from the same team, Telnet.
Yes, and you can see that the tactics unfold for Telnet Fidea. Courtney van Kessel has been at the front now for a long time, setting the pace, making sure that the race doesn't slow down, and keeping the pace high for their probably for Meusen, I would imagine, and then in the end, that maybe that Meusen will have to be the one to account for Chanel and deal with him.
I mean, if you're Chanel, that has to be a great ride to actually be there, still standing for Meusen to have to dispatch you at the end of the race. And I tell you, Steve Chanel is doing a very, very good job of keeping his head above water out here with this group that he is in. You're right. Will it be Meusen who has to close out the deal? Well, doesn't look good because Meusen is not in this group now. That is rider 12, Jim Ernutz, that we're looking at now. So Meusen has not made this selection here.
Oh, you're right, actually. I just see that Meusen is kind of sitting up. We'll investigate and see what's going on. It looks like something could have been the matter. Let me find out, Dave.
That comes as a bit of a surprise, definitely. But we are confirming that is 12, not 2, up in this group. That is definitely Jim Ernutz that we're looking at. So, all right, these 4 riders together. This is who you've got. Wearing 8 is the Dutchman, Courtney van Kessel. Van Kessel there on the front right now. Behind him, you can see 10 on his shoulder. That is the Frenchman, Steve Chanel. His wife, Lucy, racing with us here in America on this trip as well. So it's great to have them. The other rider there, 6, being Quinten Hermans. And then Jim Ernutz. That's your front group.
Dave?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Dave. I have Sven Nys with me here. Sven, looks like Tom Meusen is kind of sitting up. Do you know what's happening, or?
Yeah, the speed is really high, and I think that Tom has a little bit a bad moment on that point of the race, and he needs to recover a little bit, and hopefully he can come back in the race. But you see that he now needs half a lap of recuperation, and it's going a little bit too fast now. We have a few strong riders in the front, Cornet, Quinten, and hopefully we can beat Steve Chanel today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you say the pace was a little high, it was kind of your team that set it really high. Do you think did not play it intelligently, would you say, or?
No, that's not what I mean. I think that they need to try to make a gap between them and Steve Chanel, so they not can ride with 4 guys in the front. The best guys are at the end of the race. The best guys are gonna be in the front, and on that moment now, you see that Tom has a little bit of problems. But we have 2 other riders who are really strong for the moment. Also, Jim Ernutz is really good. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm. What kind of strategy can you come up with now to deal with Chanel, for example? Because he's pretty fast, right?
He's fast. He's technically really good. So if it stays like this, they need to do technically with the team something. And if they are with 2 guys in the front against him, then something is possible.
Okay. Do you need to tell the guys at front that they shouldn't count for Tom now anymore, that they should ride their own race?
Yeah, I think so. Tom needs to have a bit of recovery. So he's now out for winning the race today. I think maybe Toon can come back when it's going a little bit slower in the front. But it's for the moment it's Jim, Cornet, and Quinten.
All right. Good luck.
All right, thank you, Tim. So helping you identify the riders, number 8 there on the front is Courtney van Kessel that we just had Sven Nys talking about. Number 10, that's easy to identify, Steve Chanel, the Frenchman in orange. He's with the cross team by G4. The other 2 riders there now, when you hear him say Jim, that's Jim Ernutz that he's talking about. Jim, another one of the Belgian riders there. He's got 12 on his back, and then Quinten Hermans with 6. So it doesn't look like, wow, that's going to be Steve Chanel up on the front right now. If you are Telnet Fidea, you definitely want to help him lick his plate clean. And there comes the tongue. I have a feeling they're pretty close to dispatching him out of this group here when you look at the Hermans back to the front now. So Hermans is there. Rider number 8, once again, Dutchman, Courtney van Kessel. He might be the man for today, to tell you the truth. He looks the freshest about everyone in this group to me here, Tim. Talking about the Dutchman, van Kessel.
Yes, definitely. He looked very sharp. I think you saw it as well when Chanel came through the pits. He had his tongue out. That could be playing poker, but he could be, indeed, as you said, about to be dispatched.
Yeah, I think they're going to start working him over here now. This might be the moment, as these two look incredibly fresh. Now, very good interviews down there, Tim, by the way. Really appreciate you talking with Sven Ness. And I agree with Sven's assessment. Actually, I would never disagree with Sven when you're talking about cyclocross. But you can definitely say Tom Hewson won't be coming back to this group. Tom is done, I would have to say now. And I think a lot of the work that was done keeping that speed, so it was just ridiculously fast out here over laps 1, 2, and 3. It actually hasn't backed off at all. But these are the only men standing that we're looking at. You're looking in the middle of your screen at our front group right now. Steve Schinell, the outlier in this group. Cross team by G4, and there's what you see, the elastic getting stretched tighter and tighter. They're out on lap number 5, but this is really where you can't afford to miss a step out there now, Tim. If you're Schinell, boy, just one bobble and that'll be it. You won't be recovering and rejoining the Telnet Fadea freight train. So Tim, I'm sure, is going to be grabbing another word with Sven Ness for us here now as we bring the guys back through. They get another look at the lap counter here. This is the employee parking lot to give you a feel for how many people participate in building these wonderful bikes here in Waterloo. So they're hearing 4 to go now. So a definitive distance of racing remaining at this level. Pro men race for an hour plus a lap, and that looks like what they'll be looking at right now. Front group came together decidedly different than our women's race here today, as we a little bit earlier in the afternoon had a chance to watch Katie Compton ride away. It was old school style Compton racing that we had. Ellen Noble ends up with such an impressive performance from the 20-year-old to end up holding on to a silver medal, and then Amanda Miller doing a wonderful job for Amanda as well. Those are 3 big results on our C2 day for the women's C1 coming up tomorrow. We'll be focusing on both our pro men, pro women, and amateur racing with our coverage throughout the day. So we'll look forward to having you back and joining us once again. Thank you for being a part of this year's Trek Cup, as it looks like the champagne bottle has popped the cork now, because we're taking a look at the very front of this bike race, and it's Conne van Kessel. Conne van Kessel has gone clear with, 3 3/4 laps to go. They have so many cards to play, Tim. But
actually making my way to the run-up now, Dave, and I'll see how it looks out there.
All right, that's Tim V out there right now, our man on the ground. Tim is going to be heading over to the run-up, and we'll check back in with him. This run-up, a very severe part of the course. This sector is one, and you'll see it in a while, where one of the only places of the course where you see the riders actually having to get off their bikes. So this course, once again, built by all of our friends who live and work in Waterloo and at Trek, and has become such an interesting story as Trek is looking. They haven't said so officially, but it sounds like they have a real vision to continue this string of World Cups that are happening here in the United States. Great job by Steve Schinell to nail that one back. But the problem is, as soon as you bring this one back, there's going to be another one going up the road. It's going to be attack after attack. So Conne van Kessel has been brought back, but it looks to me like Quentin Hermans is going to take his turn now. Or maybe they'll just let it settle for a bit. But how many times can Chanel weld this one back out there? But there you go. And that's going to be the story of the day. As soon as Chanel brings back one of their teammates, they send another man up course here. And if it's not one, it's another. And they still have, this is Ton Ertz. So thank you to Wout van Aert and the whole team for coaching me up last night on how to pronounce these names. But not Tom Hewson, but Ton Ertz is rider number 4 that you're looking at, just about to rejoin that front group here. There's a good look at, the last time we had them come through. Things have changed just a little bit. There's Conne van Kessel back in the group. Well, actually, that's about where we were. Quentin Hermans there, Steve Schinell, the French rider, Jim Ernouts there. And then just behind them, you can see it was a 9-second gap not too long ago, was Ton Ertz. So, getting a look back to the front of the bike race now. Schinell just absorbing body blow after body blow here. Incredibly impressive job. As one by one, guys getting eliminated out of that front group. I think when we look, we're going to see Well, the attack going clear now, and it was Quinten Hermans backing up the work that his teammate Kwame van Kessel did a little bit earlier. And that might have been the straw that broke the camel's back if you're talking about Steve Schinell, is how many times was he going to be able to come back and recover after making these big chases. So I thought it might have been Kwame van Kessel, to tell you the truth, but now it's certainly looking like Quinten Hermans. And if Steve is able to rally himself to chase back one more group, and he realizes this, everybody realizes this, that if he does make that chase, he's just going to get attacked again. This is some old school fury that we're witnessing here from the Telnet Fidea team. So, Tim, I'm not sure if we got you back, but Steve Schinell, once again, they're putting him behind the 8 ball here.
Okay, that's good information. At this point, I'm looking to find the riders back on the course, but I think they'll be back here at the run-up soon. And but good, thank you for telling me that, and I'll let you know how he looks.
All right, well, great. So that is Quinten Hermans, the rider off of the front now. If you turned your attention for just a couple of minutes, you would have thought that was Kwame van Kessel, but Kwame was brought back by Steve Schinell. But so this is Hermans, who another one of the Belgian riders on this team. It is Steve Schinell. He's certainly going to earn his spot on the podium he can find there today. Nobody's working as hard out there as Schinell at this point. So he's going to be the rider in orange who's once again leading up the chase of this man. You're looking at the Tête de la Corsa, the front of the bike race, and he looks fit as a fiddle and ready to give her here, because that is going to be, as I said a minute ago, that might be just a little bit too much for the Frenchman to handle. That's going to be one of the two Svens down there, Sven Bentonert and Sven Ness, working for their team. I mentioned Nils Albert is here, but he's not working with Telnet Fidea. He is the director of the Krelan team, Krelan Vastgoed Service. A big look over the shoulder there for Telnet Fidea's leader out on course right now, Quinten Hermans. We're expecting to see his teammates sitting on yet another chase, and they're going to see 3 on that lap counter, 3 to go the next time through. Well, Sven should be pretty happy down there, Tim. I would think that the way the team is riding, you really couldn't ask for more.
Oh, I would agree, Dave. I think Sven has everything to be happy about. He's got a very strong team. It's not just a one-pointer team. And you could see if Tom Meusen indeed needs a little more rhythm, to race rhythm, to get up there, he's got other cards to play. So bravo to him.
Yeah, you don't really get a situation better than this in professional cyclocross. A solo team member up course, pouring it on right now as well, with 2 teammates sitting on the chase of a rider that has been worked over for the better part of half an hour out here when you talk about Steve Schinell. Let's go back and look at the beginning of the race, and you really say, well, obviously Telnet Fidea brought their A game. It was really impressive to see Tobin Ortenblad and Kerry Werner up there, but ultimately the pressure was just too much. Really rolling it was Telnet Fidea, and ultimately, if you have to give your most heroic award for the day, I'm certainly looking to France, and that being Schinell. Steve Schinell has been incredible. He might not get the win today, but I think he's winning some fans here in America, that's for sure.
Correction from the booth, ladies and gentlemen. There's your leader, Quinten Hermans.
I was wondering if they were correcting the number of laps, but it looks like they're just identifying who the correct riders are. It is going to be tough for our live announcers, Brian, who does such a good job down there. He really, hopefully he's watching the live stream coverage here as well, but certainly wouldn't be able to hear us down there. But Quinten Hermans is the man that we've had off the front, so their correction wasn't our correction, at least this time. And that would have been 3 on the counter if nothing changed there. Which it possibly could. Steve Schinell is the rider that you're looking at there in the orange and black. His team out of France, Cross Team by G4, one of the very few professional athletes, that his wife Lucy also. And Tim, I'm going to throw it down to you. We got Tim V down on course.
Yes, Dave. We just watched them take the run up here. Hermans is really, really impressive. But as you can see, the Telnet Fidea team can play some cards now, and they're pushing Schinell up to the front and have him do the chase. And then in the case that he can actually close the gap on Hermans, they have 2 other cards to play. So yeah, numbers are important here, and they're playing it right.
Yeah, they really are. And, I mean, you put all the pressure onto that man right there, Steve Chanel. There's just nothing you can do about it. He's having a fantastic ride here today. He could only cover so many attacks out there by himself. Not only does he not have any teammates, he doesn't even have anybody else willing to help at all when it comes to dealing with the armada that is the Telnet Fidea team here. The Lions are really living up to their team title. You can see the jerseys now fully unzipped. It's not an incredibly hot day, nothing like what we saw in Rochester, or what they saw, the Americans, in Rochester last week. But it's still humid enough and warm enough at this point in the year. We've talked a lot about the farm element. A lot of where they're racing at this point, or one point, was a corn farm around here. You see an awful lot of agriculture, people very in tune with that as we look at the man who, it's relatively unbelievable, Tim, that he's as close as he is right now. I tell you, really showing they should call him the Lion when you talk about Chanel. No, he hasn't quite nailed this one back, but it's still not over. Quentin Hermans is only a few seconds up course right now from Steve Chanel's group, which includes, obviously, the other two. Corne van Kessel, who's been very impressive out here today. He's got 8 on his back, and Jim Ernouts with 12 on his back, all for the Telnet Fidea team. I think we learned a lot about Steve Chanel. As you can see from this shot, he is just making the catch again. Talk about hard. What a ride. Well, he certainly came in as a rider to watch. Ranked number 27 in the world, racing out of France. This is a season that's certainly keeping an eye on Chanel, as he's going to go really taking on 6 men all by himself over the final half hour of this race. Talk about punching above your weight out there. So that's it. The group is back together, this group of 4. So I'm stunned. Jim Ernouts is there for wearing 12. Belgian rider. The Dutch rider in this group. Corne van Kessel wearing rider number 8. Also there, rider number 6. Quentin Hermans. And then rider 10, Steve Chanel. The French rider on cross team G4. Boy. So now, unfortunately, yet another attack has to be chambered here when you're the Telnet Fidea team. They're just going to continue to reload and have at it. They'll see 2 to go the next time through, and, it's going to be yet another attack. You wonder, Tim, I'm not sure if you got ears on out there right now. We don't quite have Tim yet, but when we do, we'll certainly have to ask what Sven Ness thinks about this incredible performance that we're witnessing from Steve Chanel today. But as I said, Bike Racing 101 tells you that as soon as you bring back an attack, another one's going to go. It's been over and over, just body blow after body blow being thrown at the Frenchman. This is Jim Ernouts now, rider 12, up to the front. The other 2, 8 and 6, have both taken turns attacking here. Corne van Kessel went first. Quentin Hermans went next. And now it's Jim Ernouts taking his turn. You would have think any other mortal human being would have been softened up and completely tenderized out there on a day like today, but not Steve Chanel. So certainly this Frenchman is showing incredible courage on a day like today. He will not give in. So even Jim now taking a look over his shoulder. He's going to ramp it up one more time, it looks like, and redouble his efforts as just staying in this steady state effort, finding some incredible form right now is Chanel. So let's look a little bit further out on course here today. Try to pick up where your top Americans are. I see Yannick Ekman has moved up into 12th for Boulder Cyclesport. He's right behind Kerry Werner. Tobin Ortenblad, the top American on course right now, he is sitting in 9th. So let's look a little further down. Alan Krug, Drew Dillman, excuse me. Why not get all the Americans? Travis Liverman for Maxis Shimano. Sitting in 13th, Drew Dillman. Then there's a look at a tough moment out there for one of the Raleigh Clement riders. We'll have to take another look at that if we can. As I'm up here working through the Americans, Andrew Dillman sitting in 14th, Alan Krugoff in 15th, Lance Hayden, who's now living in California but out of Bend, Oregon, sitting in 17th, Summerhill in 18th, Wells in 19th. So there's a look at where Jake Lasley, nice to see Jake up there sitting in 22nd, Cody Kaiser in 21st, and Chris Aiken is sitting out in 20th. That was coming through. He's the Australian rider for Focus Bikes Australia. Great to have Christopher Aiken racing with us. But let's go back to the front of the bike race now, as this is going to be that group that is pretty hard to imagine is still together out here. But Steve Scheinel has gone back to the Tête de la Course, the front of the bike race here, as he continues to handle these Belgians here, just wrangling this situation lap after lap. They're going to come up, and here 2 to go after 48 minutes and some change of racing. So 2 last laps here. The penultimate ronde underway now. Well, if you've been a fan of bike racing, you realize now that for the Telnet Fidea team, this goes from being an ideal situation to a nightmare in the making. I would certainly not want to have to report back to Sven Nys if you cannot win with 3 riders in a 4-rider group right now, especially when you're the Lions of Telnet Fidea. So this is unfortunately in professional cycling where victories go from being joyous to being pressure relievers, because right now Scheinel, I mean, yes, he's still there inside 2 to go, but once again another attack has got to be coming. But you wonder at what point does he end up going to the line with these guys? I mean, he looks like he's had this burden on him, but that doesn't tell you everything, because he might look tired, but he certainly hasn't raced like he's tired. And here you go. It's Cornet's turn once again. Van Kessel now is going to take the reins of this one and attack. So he was the first rider, really, when they had isolated Steve Scheinel earlier. It was Cornet Van Kessel, the Dutchman of this group. So the Dutchman, the Frenchman, and the 2 Belgians riding up in this group, 3 of them on the same team, that being Telnet Fidea. But look at this, Scheinel riding out of his skin here today. I mean, this will go down. If this man does not win this bike race today, he has certainly proven to a lot of Americans and anybody watching on this webcast that he is a rider to watch without question. And he nails back Cornet Van Kessel now. So they're going to have to rechamber. And now he's taking the bull by the horns. This is how you want to race your cross bike. There's no quarter asked for and no quarter being given out there right now by Steve Scheinel. So up and over. Boy, as anybody in Belgium would know what Tête de la Course means, racing from the front. And that is exactly what Steve is doing right now. Here we go. This might be the game changer that we were looking for, because on his way back is Ton Erts. So Ton Erts, rider 4, is going to rejoin the front group. It goes from 3-on-1 to 4-on-1 now when you're Steve Scheinel. So we haven't seen Ertz. Jim Ertz was the last rider to attack. Well, actually, it was Van Kessel with a half-hearted attempt there to try to shake Steve Scheinel. But right now, as they come through, Scheinel was still on the front. That was at 2 laps of racing remaining as we populate the screen here with our top 9 for you. Cornet Van Kessel. Second as they came through, Quinten Hermans, Jim Ernouts, and then just joining after this, so making up that 9-second deficit, was Ton Ertz. Ertz joined it. Then Don Solte is there, another Telnet Fidea rider. This is a big ride that I'm picking up, and I apologize. Michael Vandenham having a great day today, the Canadian on Trek Red Truck. So there's an exceptional performance that slipped by here, because we've been looking so much at that front group, as we are again, because he's attacking, throwing it down, old school fury at its very best, as before he has the group joined by Ton Ertz, he's attacking himself. So Steve Scheinel is now attacking the Lions of Telnet Fidea. This is one of these rides that we are never going to forget here on the Trek grounds. So as the Trek Cup is rapidly coming up on one lap of racing remaining here for our pro men, that is Steve Scheinel. We know he's very dangerous. Sven Nys talked about the fact that he's a tremendous bike handler, and he is now once again got the entire team in trouble. After they attacked him one at a time, he weathered each one of those attacks, and now he has completely turned the tables on the Telnet Fidea team. Boy, oh boy, I would not want to be in this team meeting if they can't fix the ship here over this last lap, as Scheinel's very, very good through this sector. You're not going to see a top pro in the sport having trouble with what they're racing on now, a natural element that makes up an interesting part of the course here. Steve Scheinel, one for the record books at this point. So even if at this point now the guys chasing are doing just as much work as Steve is on the front, would you rather be the hunter or the hunted? And I think Steve has decided to go for the hunted out there right now, rather than having to chase back rider after rider attacking from the Telnet Fidea team. He's certainly now, it is one thing to say that to race at the front and to put them in trouble is the way to do it. It is an entirely different thing to actually do what Scheinel is doing here today. Very, very expressive. That seems to go kind of along with the culture of French racing that's different than some other parts of the world. But Scheinel up out of the saddle, absolutely flogging himself right now. As this is going to come down to one to go, it looks like, with this group of three, but only two Telnet Fidea riders. Normally, it sounds like a horrible situation. You in a group with two other Telnet Fidea situations? Well, much, much better than what he had just a couple laps ago, which was 3 and almost 4 Telnet Fidea riders to deal with. So he's cracking the code, no doubt about it. If you want to race at this level, aggressively doing it seems to be the answer, but you got to be able to back that up with the horsepower and the consistency out here and not ride yourself into a box and get in trouble in one of the technicals. I mean, he looks better than anybody else right now in this group here after slugging it out with the entire team. I mean, this is when you look at it, one man going up against 4 at this level. So Jim Ehrenutz and Corne van Kessel are the two riders left. Corne van Kessel, rider 8, sitting second wheel here as they are just about to take this down to 1 to go. This group, certainly as they look over their shoulder, the guys are wondering if we're going to get any help here, because it looks like it's down to this now. It's this first group of 3 coming through here with Steve Scheinel on the front, but pretty nervous-looking Belgian riders. Let's throw it down to Tim. Tim, they're coming through with 1 to go.
Yes, I have Sven van Toornout here with me, coach of the Telnet Fidea Alliance. Sven, how's it looking? Scheinel is a good customer for you, huh?
Yeah, of course. It's not easy now. The last lap, and I know Scheinel is a really fast rider. He likes to be in the final of a race also. So, it's getting difficult, I think.
He clearly also, he doesn't want to play your game. He's making his own game. He's going offense instead of defense. How can you respond to that?
Yeah, that means he is really strong today. And we lost already 2 or 3 riders in the front. So they are now at 3, and two of our guys are strong also, but I don't think they are really fast, so it's going to be a tactic final.
Yeah. You still have the numbers on your side, 2 against 1, and maybe the 2 behind can come back, but still. Would you say Scheinel is in a better position right now?
Yeah, it would be good if somebody from us can slow the tempo a bit, that Ton Aerts can come back, and then they have somebody more in the final. But yeah, we will see. I hope for a victory, but it's going to be not easy.
Thank you very much.
All right, Tim, thank you. I don't know what to say. When you look at the Telnet Fidea situation for professional operators in the sport of cyclocross, this is you need to win this. You really do. To have one man take on your entire squad this way is going to be humbling for the team, no question. As we look at Telnet Fidea right now, I still don't think that they're done. There's going to be another barrage of attacks coming, and he's back now talking about the Ton Aerts. So there you go. This has got to happen happen now, and it will happen, and they should be able to execute this. You really, until you've competed at this level, you just can't realize what Steve Chanel has done as far as the depth. And you can see him now working some sweat out of that helmet. This is going to be Kwame van Kessel. And now we really move into the intensity of this finale. So these attacks, when they come back, it'll be another one immediately up the road. You can't afford now to give him a chance to breathe here. If you can put your foot on the throat, you have to do it here. And that's what Kwame van Kessel is trying to do. So the Dutchman for Talent Fidea, he's taken a couple of turns at this. This is the third time that he's attacked our solo or our race. I was going to say race leader, but I mean, obviously that's not the situation. But certainly when you talk about having heart out there, he's been a leader on the day today, that being Steve Chanel. So the Frenchman Chanel now, it looks like they're going to have to really just start pouring it on here. But he has come back to the front. So this is an exceptional performance, a command performance that we're looking at by Steve Chanel. Let's see once again, where did he come into the season? Ranked number 27 in the world. Well, this certainly represents him a lot better than the 27th ranked rider by the UCI in the world, as he is certainly looking like a man whose trajectory is in the right direction. He's able to cover yet another, so shutting down the third attack from Kwame van Kessel. That is going to be the 8th total attack that he has brought back here over the last 4 laps. This man, his nickname should be the welder, as he welds group or attack after attack back today. And at this point, the way he's been riding, obviously he's been at such a high level out here, but how could you possibly want to go to the finish line with him? So I think they've got to be once again rechambering back at the Telnet Fidea combat office here, because they must have a plan on the team. Taking a look, Tim, at the group once again, Chanel's taking this down to about a half lap to go out there now, and he is still controlling by riding on the front. Tête de course. Well, we talked about defense earlier in this race and how Chanel was just trying to weather these attacks over and over. And then he moved into a different phase in this last couple of laps. It's really been the last 2.5 laps now that he's been riding this way, going to the front, setting the speed, keeping it high enough that no one is rejoining that group. That's how he's able to keep Ertz out. Now, Ertz, I think, was able to fight his way back in. We'll be looking for rider number 4, and there he is. So Ertz did join, as we're down to now Kwame van Kessel and Jim Ehrenhuis here in that group with Ertz. So Quinten Hermans is no longer part of that conversation. One of the riders who just a few laps ago was attacking. This is a very, very good look at what we saw as they came through with one to go. Steve Chanel on the front, the Frenchman. Then you've got Quinten van Kessel, Jim Ehrenhuis, Ton Ertz, Quinten Hermans, but you can see Hermans was just starting to let go at that point. That 1 second gap has really started to grow into quite a bit more. So going back to the front of the bike race, this is it. No wiggle room at all when you are, and that's a tough attack. You can see that coming on the outside, you've got one rider. Going on the inside is Ertz. So that is Jim Ehrenhuis there, rider number 12. And Kwame van Kessel is going to come. They're absolutely going to barrage him right now. This is it. If he can fight through this, they're not going to be able to beat Steve Chanel today. And they're going to throw everything that they've got at him. It is all hands on deck if you're the Telnet Fidea team. You just cannot get rid of this guy. It's like trying to pull a T-bone steak out of a pit bull's mouth when you talk about trying to get away from our leader. Well, once again, from the Frenchman is the best way to put it. They are really rolling now, picking up the speed on this last lap. That's going to be Ertz, rider number 4. So Ertz has got, they haven't got rid of him yet. Oi, 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 what a ride today from the Frenchman Chanel. No matter how high they lift the tempo, they cannot shake him. And now it looks like Kwame van Kessel is going to go. This is going to be Van Kessel. Excuse me, that's Jim Ehrenhuis, 12, attacking out of the back of the group. But Chanel's able to lift and recognize and respond to move after move from Telnet Fidea. They are running out of real estate here in Waterloo incredibly quickly. Out on this last lap now, you can see like a rocket ship on rails is going to be our leader, Ehrenhuis. But he's not gone. He's actually gapping his own teammates, and this is it. The finale has arrived. It could be Steve Chanel if he can find the right line, and it looks like Chanel has found it. Steve Chanel Chanel is riding an inspired race today as he pulverizes this field. That is one of the best wins we have seen on American soil, taking on the entire Telnet Fidea team, and the Frenchman Steve Chanel will win with panache here today in Waterloo. What an incredible C2 event. Man, for the Telnet Fidea team, it's going to be a rough team meeting tonight. Tim, we'll be looking for you down on the start line. I know Tim V will be talking to an ecstatic Frenchman. I can only imagine. Tim, we can throw it to you.
Yes, I'm actually the guys out of breath now.
All right, so Jim with a little technical difficulty. We'll get back to him as quickly as we can, as you're going to see the carnage after today's race now. I don't see him on our screen. I can only imagine he's one of the men flopped on the ground right now. Was how deep, how impressive was Steve Chanel on a day like today? That's going to be the Telnet Fidea team that we're looking at. There's going to be some real disappointment on that squad after the way things played out late in the race. They went up against a monster. No question that is a tough way to wrap things up, though, on day one. Another great thing about cyclocross is there's another race tomorrow if you're the Telnet Fidea team. Tim, I'll throw it down to you.
Yes, all right. I've got Corna van Kessel with me here. Corna, you threw everything out there at Steve Chanel. You did everything you could. What is your analysis?
Yeah, we try everything. I attack in the last lap. And in the couple last corners, Jim do a try to the win. And Steve was in his wheel, and we can beat him in the sprint.
It was a deserved win for him, right?
Yeah, he beat us on our power. So,
well, congratulations on a great race, and best of luck tomorrow.
Well, he was a big part of the race today. Very respectful answer there. That was legitimate, no question. There's not anything more you could ask for the Telnet Fidea team. They certainly threw everything they had at it, but a very strong Steve Chanel on a day like today just wasn't going to be beat. And we talked about with Katie Compton how impressive her solo win was earlier in the day. Katie obviously brought a lot of form and motivation to Waterloo, Wisconsin. Well, same could be said for Steve Chanel. And certainly heads up, Brooke Watts and all the good folks in Vegas. Watch out for Steve. Throw it back down. As it sounds like Tim has found another great rider to talk to. There he is, our winner.
Yeah, we have the winner with us. Steve, félicitations, congratulations. How do you feel?
It was my first race, so physically I'm good, but I don't have the good tempo for this track. And you know, when you are with 5 guys with the same team, it was important to have a nice tactic. And today I win. I'm very happy because tactically, normally, I'm not so good. And today, it's a new year for me. It's finished. I was professional during 9 years. And now I'm specialist. I'm cyclocross guy. And I want to get a nice season, and it's a very nice start today to win this race.
Definitely a very nice start. Did you go talk to me about the finish? Talk to me about the last lap. How did you go about that?
At 3 laps to the finish, I attack 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, but I see all my adversary was good. So in my head, I say, okay, I wait the last moment and tune hard, attack at 500 meters to the finish line. Directly, I go on the wheel. And after, it's on the head. I want to pass Jim, and it's the reason why I'm so happy to win this race, because it's a very hard last lap.
Is this your first race in America?
No, it's the second race. Last year I was in Vegas, and it's amazing. I love American people. That's not the same in France, of course. So, and yeah, I search my words. I'm so happy, and I want to get a bye-bye with my kids, because during 2 weeks my kids go on school, and with my wife Lucy we stay here. So, Chiara, Caliste, je vous aime, mes enfants.
Well, Americans really like a guy winning against a big team, so you were really the underdog today, and congratulations.
Yes, thank you very much.
All right,
and
ciao.
see you tomorrow.
Yes, definitely tomorrow, once again.
Let's give it up for Summerhill.
Thank you, Tim. A genuinely happy winner down there as well. Can only imagine how good that must feel on so many fronts when you see Steve Schinel, our winner there, and obviously our best going back to his kids in France. I hope they had a chance to enjoy their dad with a great win. So as we take a look and say goodbye today at our venue, let's look back on some great racing. And a big thank you to Trek and everyone who made this possible. You certainly, when you looked at this, it was hard to imagine how it wasn't going to be a Telnet Fidea win today, going back through the first half of the race. But there he is, showing up for the first time in that front group is our eventual winner, Steve Schinel. And then all logic told you that they would work him over, which they did everything they could, attacking him with one rider after another. They all took their turns out there when you talk about the guys like Ton Aerts, Corny Van Kessel, and Jim Ernutz. But that's really the group that we're looking at here. Sometimes, as they say, offense can be the best defense, and that's what was happening here for the last third of the race, as Steve did such a good job of not only nailing back attacks like that, but then being there in the group when it went to the line. And then he is just able to get the better there of our second-place finisher, Corny Van Kessel. Quentin Hermans rounding out our top three, Jim Ernutz top four. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. We will look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow.